You can't truly judge something without trying it. When I make pizza again, I'll try it. So you're saying I have to cook the banana? Do I have to pull it out and add it? Or do I literally cook it from straight? Because that's cooking for
You're cooking it from straight, is what I do. Please. Oh my god.
That is some weird imagery.
Oh, that's so cursed.
I mean, like I said, I am skeptical. I will try it before I judge it, because that's what you should do. But I don't have high expectations.
Okay, I would say no. Subs should never decide what CAD orders for on a pizza.
Correct. I agree
that would be a bad idea.
This is giving way too much power to Cat.
As Shadow Destroyer said, people would put mayo on it.
Now that's just not right. Mayo does not mix. Even a mayo base wouldn't work. Like, I've seen ranch base, and that's all right.
Oh, I've definitely seen mayo base. If it's good, I have no idea, because I refuse to get anywhere near stuff like that.
God, who were those people? Okay. I'm sorry for being late, chat. I sat there for like 10 minutes trying to refresh the YouTube page to get it to actually update. So, guys on the YouTube side of things, I'm sorry, but the stream title is the same as yesterday because the stream itself refuses to let me edit it. So, there's just nothing I can do about it. So, if you were on the VIP side of things, you would have heard me literally like pounding my desk and screaming, basically because it still just refused to take any change. So I gave up and said it's not worth my sanity nor my anger. Okay, the tweet is live also, by the way, so go ahead and give it some love. And I am grabbing today's sauce for you guys. It is not a pineapple-based sauce nor a banana-based sauce. It is just good, savory sauce. Full of ripe tomatoes. Finally, some good fucking food. Exactly. Okay. We do have a lot to do today, so I'm gonna be jumping right in here. Good savory sauce? Yes, savory. Hello, everybody. How's it going? Again, here is today's artwork. Go give the artist some love. Hello, Weiss. Hello, everybody on the Twitch side of things. Kat is here to translate Albert speak for us. Yes. I mean, like I said, I'm actually not expecting too much. This is a light stream that they are doing, so we pretty much know they're just gonna like probably spend 15 minutes talking about Sea Monster Crisis, and that'll be it. Like I don't really expect them to do too much. Caliente Tortuga, thank you for the 12 months, thank you for the 1 year. Yeah, can we get some love? And some guy, thank you for the 25. Australia has a species of pine cone large enough to kill a human when falling from a tree. Is it called a drop bear? Is that the species of pine cone? Oh my god, Squirrel, they give her the 14. Hyper, they give her the 57. And again, I hope you guys are doing good. For those of you guys that have missed it, we have 3 new videos out on YouTube. Huzzah. And obviously we're going to be recording 2 more today. But again, this is just like how it's been for me this week. I guess I made a mistake in taking Tuesday off because FGO chose violence the past couple days in terms of its content. So it's definitely a good thing. It's nice to actually have content because normally we're complaining about not having any. So I will definitely take the gift that has been wrapped for me. And on screen, you guys can see as I was basically opening my boxes, I actually haven't gotten to do too much or gotten too far, mostly because of the fact that I'm like reasonably capped out already on my inventory. I've got basically a little bit more than 100 boxes still to roll out. But again, yeah, you can see right there my lineup is at 372. So I basically got about like 100 and probably 135 boxes or something still to roll. But again, I do aim to be done with it. If I'm done, I'm done. If I'm not, then I will probably like try to use the Trung Sisters because we're going to be rolling for them tomorrow, and I will try to like use them to actually not have to burn any embers, which will actually make this the first Lotto ever that I can remember in any memory other than the one time that I only did 45 boxes in a Lotto. The first time ever that I have not burnt embers in a Lotto on an A. So pretty wild in that regard. It's honestly a good thing. It means that I managed everything appropriately. It means that I managed to get in here and actually have enough grails and actually have enough units to work on. You guys did see, for those of you guys that didn't, that I did put out a tweet today as well showing that I 120'd Squirtoria on NA, which I am very happy to have done. Even my JP has not accomplished that yet because my JP doesn't have the coins. But so that one's done. That's now 4 level 120s on NA, and I have 30 more left to do because I have to do it to all the saber faces. So it's not going to be fun. And I say that, right, like, I'm gonna be real with you. Some of those might never get done because they're the like 4 stars and stuff that are story locked, where like I'm not gonna roll like 20 copies of a unit to have enough coins. I'm just gonna instead say whatever. If they don't give us a coin fix, they don't give us a coin fix, and then it is what it is. Am I getting the twins? Yeah, like I said, I will try to roll for them tomorrow when we get the event. Again, if you guys need a review of the event, that is one of the videos I put out today, so go check that out on the YouTube side of things. And yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I need to talk to you guys about right now. Anything else that's housekeeping, if you will. Perma 4 stars. At least if they're perma, I could potentially get spooked by more copies. But story locked and limited, I would have to devotedly roll a banner in which they're on. And I'm not going to go out of my way to do that sort of thing. Because again, we've talked about this many a time on the channel that like, a lot of the coin situation is probably because the developers are still making money off of it. I don't think it's a good idea to quote unquote incentivize it, if you will. I think it's a better idea to instead say, hey, you know what? I'm not rolling. And then the devs start going, oh, well, then this isn't working. Maybe we need to change our strategy some. So, like I said, I think if you want the coin situation to change, stop rolling for additional units beyond 5. Don't give them any reason to suspect that it's actually a profitable thing for them. Yeah, the Pokemaster rolling Trung friends. Yes. Gotta catch them all, right? Story locked and limited, give more coins at least. That is true. It's just like I said, I don't really want to incentivize what they've currently done. FGO ends up getting really busy. Yeah, maybe I need to like start threatening that more often, White, and then see if like see if that just perpetually baits them. Because like I've been complaining about this, and I will say like I kind of like low key hate that they just immediately went back to back with this event. It is kind of what they were going to do naturally, but like I think a lot of this and not having a break is gonna become a problem, I think, for your casual player, your average everyday player, that like they're kind of going like, hey guys, we've been grinding nonstop, like give us some time, right? Some people absolutely want something to do every single second of every single day. Obviously that's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about just more your sort of just average player that probably plays FGO semi-regularly. Are we about due for the 30 million downloads campaign, do you think? On JP, I think it's probably still at least another month, but yeah, I do think you're getting to the point where we would start considering whether or not it would be a thing, right? Like we know they have plans for it. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens sometime around May, but I guess it really just depends on what their actual numbers are. Wait, why did that? I missed. There we go. Wait until the next Lotto on JP, yeah. completely forgot we have an actual stream as well. Oh, trust me. I had a doctor's appointment this week and completely forgot to get my lab work done, like my blood sample taken before, like the week before, just because it's tax season. So like I completely understand, because I had to remember that doctor's appointment this week, and I also had to remember this stream, which were like just absolutely not on my agenda. So it's I can completely understand how things slip people's minds right now. Gotta pay the vampire tax. Yeah, the only reason that they did it, normally I'm on an annual update, but they said like my cholesterol was slightly high this time. And when I say slightly high, I mean like it moved up from its normal value, because I guess like I normally just have very good cholesterol, and they're like, well, it went up, let's revisit this in 6 months and see if it's like still going up or if it's just a normal like fluctuation or something like that, because that can happen. But unfortunately I didn't get the lab work done, and I was talking to the doctor when I was sitting in his office, and I'm like, look, it's just this time of year. I was like, if I had realized, I never would have made the appointment. And he's like, no, it's completely fine. I understand. And he like rescheduled me for like a month from now. So basically post tax season, I'm going to go in and get my stuff done. So, but again, it's no, as far as I know, it's no health concern or anything like that. Congrats to you guys doing those coil quests. I didn't do a single one to finish the lottos. I did like, I think I want to say I did like 25 of the 31 CQs, right? Like I didn't do the mid-rash one. It just takes forever, right? So there's certain ones that I was just like, if I can't get this done quickly, I'm just not doing it. If I can get it done quickly, I kind of did some of them. So I did some of them off stream. I did them basically while I was sitting at work. And some of them are really bad. You can ask Avalon, because I was talking with him while doing it, and he was helping me some. Not that, again, like I couldn't find out comps and put stuff together myself. It's like, it's literally a time issue for me right now. And I actually, like, I can play through the game fairly easy, but you make me sit down and have to think, and it's like, I can't do that while I'm trying to do my job, basically. So it became at least a little bit of a problem, but it still worked out for the majority of them. There was one, though, I think it was the whatever comp we had for the Eric Blood Axe one. I had to like redo it so many times just to try and get through, and that one's not even a hard one. So it just like, I think the comp was reliant on some card RNG, and I just kept getting screwed on it. Or no, sorry, it was Eric's RNG, like his attacks. He kept not attacking, and so he wasn't killing a unit that had a taunt CE on it. The event was fun, but it made me angry at times. Yeah, like I said, I told you guys, some of you guys are going to come out at the backside of this lotto going like, I don't know what Cad was talking about. But other people will come out being like, holy shit, I'm burnt out, or like, dear God, what the fuck were those challenge quests? I don't want to see another challenge quest for a while. That's just going to be how it's going to be. Some people are going to be really negatively impacted by this event. Some people are going to think it's absolutely nothing. Please understand, if you're someone that thinks it's absolutely nothing, it doesn't mean that it didn't impact someone else, right? Like, this event is not that hard if you're a veteran player that has a ton of units. This event is certainly a lot harder if you're a newer player or a more like free-to-play oriented player. Certainly as well for people that don't have a lot of time, people that maybe have jobs or school that's really overbearing for them right now at the moment. It's kind of difficult on them to actually make it through. Personally didn't have enough time to do both the Lotto and the Lotto CQs. Yep. I basically said, like, this is why I believe that they probably should not combine the two. Like, I guess, like, I'm okay with, if you guys remember, like, some of the original, like, NeroFest events and stuff, you had just, like, the 7 EQs. 7, I think, is perfectly fine. I think with 7, you could reasonably get through this in a 2-week event, and it's not overbearing, and you can actually have a little bit of fun with it if you want. But I think at 31, you're way overboard, especially since, like, what was it, like I want to say like half the CQs didn't come out until like there were only a couple days left. So it really felt pretty oof in that regard. Oh, God damn it. I did the thing again. I basically messed up my charge here, but I should be okay. How'd the Lotto go for you guys? It like overall went fine for me, but I'm impressed that it went as good as it did, because this was one of those where like it absolutely shouldn't have gone that well for me, just because of the time of year for me. Hello, Rain. How's it going? How many CQs do you want? Yes. Well, you'll see when we get like Ilia Fest next year, they basically just give you like, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's like somewhere between 5 to 7 different CQs, and then maybe like the extra CQ at the end. That's like the total CQ. But like there's 7 puzzles. Okay, yeah. So it's like, I actually thought that the Ilia one was like the least intrusive one that they had done. It doesn't mean it's like the best or anything like that, but I thought it was the least intrusive. So at the end of the day, they can, absolutely decide for themselves if it's something that they want to do. But I think that at least, like, I didn't have too bad of a time with it. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. My only issue with this is just the diversion of time. I think people that have a shit ton of time are usually probably not very empathetic to people that don't have time. And vice versa, if you're someone that has no time, you're really not going to hear the arguments of somebody that has a lot of time. So I completely understand both sides of the argument, but to me, I'd rather just have the two things separated so that there's no pressure on anyone regardless, and that there's always something to do. Whether or not you want to do that thing, that's completely up to you as the player, but I think that would at least serve better. Okay, so I actually don't have enough charge here on our little girl, so we are going to instead probably pre-card here and then go ahead and just use Oberon's NP. Basically, I need Okida's NP. Is making exhibition quests permanent a bad idea? Maybe for the devs. I don't think any player would care if exhibition quests were permanent, right? I think it would just be an issue overall. At least Chaldea Fairy Cup goes back to the normal with CQs. Yeah. You're right about having mana loading on Melu allowed me to 3-turn the last Lotto node. Yep. I've told people that before. So like Melisson is somebody that can charge 100% with her third skill. And even on top of that, she has 30%. And a lot of people go, why the fuck would I ever need mana loading on this? Well, chat, basically, if you manage to have a 50% Lotto C, okay, you can have Melisson's 30%. You can have, or sorry, her 20% from her pen. You can then have her 30%. You can basically get her to full right there under her own power without even having to tap her third skill. Okay? So then from there, you can basically end up popping the 100%, charging to full for the second wave, and then on the third and final wave, you basically end up getting the 30% back if you're in some sort of double Koyanskaya setup. Or again, you just run in with Oberon and boom, there you go. That's 70% right there. So like, this is Melisson with like basically a single support. It needs a certain node structure, but there are reasons essentially to have that 20%, and it makes it hilariously easy in some circumstances. So. Actually, I explained that wrong. That was not single support. You would still need you would have still needed the Kayan Skies in that situation, because I basically said, hey, you can get back to the 30%. So I did explain that one wrong, but essentially there is a reason to have it. My account is still a bit too weak for the CQs. I've been playing for 2 months now. Oh, that's fine. If you're still relatively new, Rikodo, I just recommend taking it easy, doing what you can, but don't sweat it if there's something that you can't do. There are numerous ways, the more you get to know the game, where you could maybe borrow someone's unit and it would be strong enough to carry you through. But it can be somewhat difficult for that to work out for some people. That is still not enough charge. Okay, there we go. $130% on a servant will forever be crazy. Oh, like I said, if you wanted to have her start from 0, you could have made her third skill 50% and it would still work. So like they gave her 50% too much charge. She does not need it. But it is still... Did you just kill my Okitan? As you know, this means war. Actually, I didn't need to pop a second skill. I'm gonna take the triple arts here. We're gonna kill Space Toshizo and then go after Drake. Hijikata ain't playing around. Yeah. Cad doing this the real hard way. Well, let me save y'all a problem here. There we go. Unlimited Blade Works, enjoy your gift sub. Hijikata's pissed. I'm pissed now. And there you go, that arts crit on Ozzy. Ooh, baby. You don't kill my Okitan and get away with it. Okita Ultra gets a buff this year and he doesn't. Well, are we sure that that Hijikata doesn't get a buff this year? I don't remember where he's at exactly. It's getting really difficult for me. I used to know exactly when we got every single buff, but with the roster bloat and sort of like the weird timings of some of the buffs now, I actually like lose track at this point, especially when I'm having to keep track of the status of two different servers. So like I remember there is a buff, and then I don't remember whether or not NA has gotten it yet. Basically, in my mind is perpetually like where Hijikata is now on JP, rather than necessarily where he is on NA. Been playing for 1 year and 4 months, and I enjoyed those CQs. I complete them all and learned a lot. Hey, go for it, right? Like, and that's what I'm saying. It's not that I hate challenge content. I love challenge content. I just don't want to necessarily see the two blended because I feel like it just puts undue stress on people. Like, and that's the main like argument that I have for it. I think as long as you give each one their time in the sun, I think it's perfectly fine, and I think people love both types of content. We're back. Gotta walk the husky dog. How dare you not walk mine as well? How many boxes deep are you so far? I know I'm at least 70 or 80. I am 500, but I've been 500 since like, what was it, like 7 days into the lotto? Like I basically just rushed, got it done, and have been sitting on my laurels the whole time. And I say sitting on my laurels, it's not like I haven't been doing anything. I've still been playing the game, and I've still been pumping out a ton of content. It's just been like, at this point. Also, chat, I believe the stream is at 9 as normal, right? Let me double check that. Yeah, premieres in 67 minutes, so it's at 9. Cat has special apples? Yeah, I have 500 because I have this thing called rainbow apples. So rainbow apples are basically they require a magical item called the credit card. That's the only way I can phrase it. How do you farm that many that fast? I rely on Avalon's Lotto guide. That is how I do it. And this is even funnier for a couple of reasons. One, because I usually help out Avalon with the guides, and two, because ironically enough, I end up not using any of the comps in the guides. I always take a comp that Avalon has in there and I twist it for my needs because inevitably, like the Lotto guide is usually made just for like essentially like here's just some of the best, most efficient comps to get through. But naturally, as like a whale, I probably have other considerations. Like basically I'm done with all my mystic codes. So instead I'm like, I've only got the one left that's new. And so I go like, okay, well then I only want to level that mystic code. So now I need a comp that uses that mystic code. But then I go, but I'm lazy and I don't want to actually have to plug suit. So on top of that, the comp actually just needs to be a normal non-plug suit comp that works, but it has to work without a standard like steroid from a mystic code. So I have really obscene parameters that I do like that I just go like, let me see how lazy I can make this comp. And every once in a while we get a like mythical gem like I had in round 2 where it was like, here chat, look at this comp. This is a 1 button press comp. And I'm still so proud of that comp. Because it just allowed me to just sit there at work with the thing on my desk and not even pay attention to it. I would just like look down and be like, press button, boop, NP, NP, NP. Next node, 1 button, MP, 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 and just keep doing that. I stole that comp, yeah. So it's like, that's usually what I do is I basically try to like fine tune a comp. I try to just tweak it to my own needs. And that's what I've been doing for years, right? Like that's like, with any of the guides that we've ever produced, I usually am not using just the specific variant that is in the thing, because I always have some other external goal that I'm trying to get done during a Lotto. You say laziness, I say efficiency. Well, and I've talked about this before, that like, is my comp fast? Well, yes, absolutely, when it's only 1 button press, but like usually there's something to be said about like, do you want the actual fastest comp, chat, or do you want the comp that is like the most brainless? Because they're usually not the same. And a lot of the times you can find a comp that is relatively brainless where it's like, okay, you just press everything on turn 1. And if you get a comp like that, then boom, there you go. You activate everything turn 1, and then for the next 2 turns, you don't have to really pay attention. And it makes it very easy to move through the node. These are things that you can do as your account gets more robust, as you get more options to run the nodes. But certainly for newer players, it's very difficult to even clear, let alone do it in an efficient manner. So it is something that over time, as you become more veteran to the game, becomes easier. But yeah, it's usually that's what I look for, is something where I can kind of just turn my brain off. And you guys have seen this numerous times before, where it's like in the middle of Lotto season, especially on like a weekend or something, I'll just be like, fuck it, I'm just going to sit down and degen an entire anime or watch an entire Netflix show or like watch several movies in succession. And that's usually just how I do it. Because people ask me like, how do you not go insane? And I'm like, I really like commit it to just muscle memory and just like turn my brain off. It's not that hard to do once you've done it. You might not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like pretty much, right? I spent a single multi to help farm this Lotto. It doubled the amount I usually get. Do I recommend fellow free-to-plays do it if they don't have enough Saint Courts? Oh, you do recommend. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't normally recommend people do it, but I will say that popping quartz for refills is not as inefficient as people think it is. It's not as like wasteful as people think it is. And it's kind of funny. Like in the entire course of this Lotto chat, how much do you think I spent to get to my 500 boxes this Lotto? Like I'm curious. How much do people think that I spent? Yeah, it was literally a single pack. It was like right around a single pack. So it's like basically that. And technically some guys right, it was actually nothing because I already had that much quartz. Like, so it didn't cost me anything. Indirectly, we can say it did. We could say it eventually cost me buying another pack. But so it's like, to do 500 boxes in the Lotto, in a Lotto that I started out with not a lot of apples, normally I do have a lot of apples, it only ended up costing me a pack. Now, a pack is not cheap, right? Like, people don't usually just have $80 lying around that they can spend willy-nilly. And I completely understand that. But at the end of the day, it is not nearly as bad as people think it is. Okay. And there are numerous times now, like on JP, for instance, where chat, I do 500 boxes without even spending a quartz because the apples that are getting given out right now on JP are just insane. So my JP account is basically at a point where like it doesn't care. It has that freedom to just kind of coast right through at this point. I spent about 140 to get to 600. Yeah. I save my fragments for raffles these days. I mean, you can do stuff like that. Like, again, I'm not telling anybody to spend money on the game. My advice, don't spend money on the game. And if you're going to spend any money on the game, the best place to spend it is technically the GSSRs. I'm just saying, rainbow apples have always had a very negative stigma in the community, and they're not like as costly as you really think about it. And it certainly depends on your area of the world and stuff like that. But like, for instance, for me, it's $80 for a pack. It ends up equating out to basically like 50 cents a quartz. It's really not too bad. Like, and at that point, it's actually slightly less. But at that point, it's like, it's like a quarter to basically get a full refill. And the thing you guys got to understand too is like, so if we're talking basically 50 cents, right? That is at least 3 runs. It's about 3.5 runs that I'm going to get out of each one of that. So it's like, it's not like I'm only getting the 1 run. It's topping my AP bar to full and I get 3.5 out of it. So it ends up working out. And again, like I said, it's really going to come down to your efficiency. Late in a Lotto, my efficiency is basically 3 runs per box. Early in a Lotto, it's a lot more. So if depending on when you start popping the rainbow apples, it can be more expensive or less expensive, but usually it ends up equating out to about that. Kind of curious if there are any crucial tips that you guys want to give a free-to-play player like me. The best advice that I can give really any player, but especially free-to-plays, is use the knowledge that you have. Like, you play on an A, I assume, and if you're playing on an A, you know that you have 2 years of clairvoyance, so you know what's coming. Look ahead at the banners, try to plot out what you want to roll on. And then if you're a free-to-play player, assume that you're only going to be able to roll on about 3 different things a year. In all seriousness, you can roll more than that, but you're probably not going to have enough saved up to be able to roll more. So you can potentially get a lot more than just 3, but that is like the, hey, if you don't get lucky, this is like how many times you can potentially save up to, like, say, pity in a year. And that assumes that you get taken to pity every time, right? You're not going to get taken to pity every time. I have had people that got really unlucky multiple times in a row, myself included, but it's usually pretty rare. And honestly, since I hit pity on JP so many times in a row, I have like not really hit it since. So it's really streaky and just bad luck that can happen. But don't assume that it will happen. Just assume that it can. And so again, like, play cautiously and save and try to aim for the things that you want. And you'll find that it actually does work out for you in the end. Basically, play smart. Your low stars are your best friend. Yeah, and they're not bad. Other gacha games, sometimes the low stars are just like fodder units or something like that. In FGO, they're actually pretty good. They actually do have quite a bit of capability. We're not doing Ordeal Call 2 just yet, chat. We might get to it tonight. We might not. It just depends. Again, I've got the recordings to do, and as of right now, it's 8 o'clock. The stream starts at 9, and I have not started either of the recordings. I would like to get at least one done before the stream, but I will probably have to do another one after the stream. Okay, so let's get in here. Do you know if what you are going to go for next in a GSSR? No, I never do. I always tell people whenever it comes to GSSRs, I basically don't really plan for them and just instead go like, I get what I get out of it. And a lot of the times the problem that I have is I have so many NP5s that, like, it basically becomes more of a game of like trying to dodge the USO than it does like for like, oh, hey, here's the clear choice that I want to go after. It'll be another Mordred? Probably. I mean, thankfully, the GSSRs are pretty much all limited now, so here and there, like Kucaster. Yeah, I mean, Kucaster's great. You've got Ku Lancer, who's just a cockroach, right? Like, usually the 3 stars and lower all have a use. It's just their uses are more narrow than the higher rarities. Like, it kind of, the case in point is like, you start thinking about using like someone like, say, Mozart as an art support. He's got a 1-turn steroid. He's got a up to 50 star bomb, which can be really nice for certain circumstances. So he can be an art support, but it's not as good or as like long lasting as someone like, say, Castoria, where you can take Castoria into pretty much any situation and she'll be good. So it really does depend on like each individual unit and what their competition is. But usually the low stars are very serviceable and you can do a lot with them. Even if they're not the best in class, they're still absolutely doable. They're that bad unless you're consistently whaling and rack up a lot of them. I mean, I've literally whaled quite a bit in this game, and I've only ever exchanged 2 USOs. I'm well on my way to my 3rd, but like, chat, think about how many years I've been playing the game, and I'm well on my way to my 3rd, right? So like, it's not like I even exchange a USO every year even. It's literally like, this might happen now on average every other, or maybe like every 3 years. So. No one Arthur, but Moriarty has blocked me twice on GSSRs. Understandable. Yeah, this is not Ace. This is, wait a minute. Did I replace my Castoria Berserker in this comp? This is now a stall comp. Well, this is going to be fun because I got 10 turns until I can even rotate for someone on the back line. Well, I guess we're all protected. So I may as well do one of these. I knew something felt wrong here. I was like, yeah, that doesn't seem like that's normal Castoria. It's like, she doesn't normally wear her crown that way. And I was like, yeah, I must be imagining things. I wasn't imagining. Castoria main DPS, let's go. Hey, listen, mine's at least 114, but yeah, that's not the one I buffed. I've actually soloed Grail Fronts with my Castoria. It's really funny to do. Okay. That'd be a shame if you just suddenly didn't have that. Okay, and then I'm gonna honestly say that Mighty Chain is probably gonna be the way to go against this guy. Just try to get as much damage as I can as long as I keep getting the Brave Chains. Too many saber faces, don't know who is who. No, I can tell you why this happened is because of Ordeal Call too, because I actually just was using this exact same comp. Like not this comp, but like this party setup. So I just totally changed it and didn't change it back, is how this happened. God, I just need to go and stop thinking. We'll go ahead and do that. And just say, give me the Castoria cards. Start entertainment until the YouTube premiere. I mean, like... Here, chat. Here's another gift sub. This isn't even the Lotto, but this is so bad I feel like it. Oh no, he has Invuln Pierce. What will I do? Oh, I don't care. By the way, if you're new to the game, let this serve as a showcase of how strong Castoria is. Okay, so we'll probably do it like this. Yeah, just gonna keep doing Brave Chains. I think it is, or not Brave Chains, Mighty Chains. It is just gonna end up being the best thing for it. I shouldn't have actually done that. That's the one I chose is actually the better one for NP gains to the damage. But NA habits die hard. Okay. Go ahead and give me that. Go ahead and give me that. And then give me that. What happened here? What do you mean? This is exactly how the node is normally run. You know what's better than Castoria? Double Castoria, yeah. Really consider picking up support servants? Yep. Doing the Liz CQ right now, not having sustain makes it harder. Well, yeah, I mean, that is like, people soloed it with Liz, and it's like, holy crap. So with John's new party chart, do you think Tamamo should get party charts outside of her NP? No. Nothing that impact, like, John could get buffed to all hell and it doesn't impact Tamamo, as far as I'm concerned. Like, they're two distinctly different units for, like, what they are intended to do. If anything, you could argue John is competing with Castoria. Which is really weird. People would tell you that Tamamo's competing with Castoria, and I'm going to tell you, like, maybe, yeah, kinda, but only in the sense that they're both art supports. Like, really, to me, Castoria is what she is, and it's not like... She's basically like King of the Hill right now, and it's like, it's going to actually take people... like getting buffed into close proximity with her capability before anything even remotely challenges that. So to me, Tamamo stands apart as a cooldown reducer, as a high defense unit, but also just somebody that can drain, install, and heal. And that's really, really nice. And that's a lot of stuff that Castoria doesn't do. So they're not really competing so much as they're just diametrically opposed. To me, John is, like I said, a lot more competitive with Castoria because they both are party-wide protectors. And John's, unfortunately, is just a lot worse in the current iteration. So it's why they really need to take a look at hers. Even with this buff, John still needs another buff. And it's, like, sad to say that, but it is sadly the truth. Buffs won't dethrone Castoria, only a new release. I'm not even sure a new release can really dethrone her. Like, for instance, chat, two things happened. One, when Castoria first came out, there was like a node that was somewhat problematic for her to do in the following event right after it, and people declared her dead, which was really fucking hilarious and overreactionary. Those people were total fucking idiots. But then... we also had years later, right, like the Buster system come out with Clay and Sky and Oberon, and even then people were trying to be like, oh, well, Arts is not a thing anymore. We've got Buster now. And I'm like, yeah, that's also stupid. Like, just because another system exists does not mean a system that is really good. Like, basically in the span of 24 hours, a system that was like the best in the game and really good is not suddenly dead 24 hours later because something else that competes with it came out. And I'm like, I don't understand people that think this way. It is like they basically either lack object permanence or just have no concept of like things not being the best. Like if you're not best, you're the worst, right? Like, and I don't get that sort of mentality. I never will, I don't think. Okay. How long we got? We got 2 more turns, so I'm going to start sitting on buffs. And I'm going to Prage that I have everything that I need here. Term you're looking for is stupid? Yeah. I still arts farm from time to time. I still arts farm all the time. Arts is arguably the easiest farm. It is just super simplistic. It rarely has refund issues, and if it does, you can bet that everything else has refund issues. And from there, it's like, okay, well, Buster doesn't have refund issues either, right? And it's like, true, The problem with Buster is a lot of button presses, and I am lazy, and I would prefer to not have to press all of those buttons. So I do naturally default to arts in the current iteration. I would love to do stuff like quick, and I do still use quick. I probably use quick more than 90% of the community in that regard. But yeah, it's like I think a lot of people don't really give it its fair like shake. But at the same time, I still will default to arts if arts is just the easiest solution. I will always usually go for the easiest solution just to make my life even easier. Okay, so we've got another turn here. This turn is relatively free, but I do need that, at least for charge. Is Castoria needed for arts? No, but she is very good. And I'm going to say this, Rico, if you don't have Castoria, one of the best things you can do is take a Castoria on support. So, like, basically, you can make do with something like I don't know, like Paracelsus and like Hans and stuff like that as some of your like low star supports. And then you can take a support Castoria and you'll be surprised at just how good it is and how much it pops off. A lot of it can be made easier if you have certain craft essences or you have more sports yourself. But to me, she's not a requirement so much as just she's so good that she kind of just stands at the top as like the thing that you can take to give yourself the best chance. Arts looping and stuff like that existed prior to Castoria, so you don't have to have her in that regard. But she certainly makes it a lot easier. She certainly helps out quite a bit. Okay, who do I got on my back line? Oh, thank heaven, I have Nero Bride. So that's going to make things a heck of a lot easier for me. I was getting a little bit worried there. I do have to wait on Bride's cooldowns, but this will actually make things a little bit easier, thankfully. We'll go ahead and do something like that. That's a weird mighty chain. Chufu is coming too with 7th anniversary to help. Yeah, she'll be another 3-star, so everybody should eventually get her. You'll have to roll for her, but it won't be too bad. We're going to go ahead and heal you because he's beaten up on her. And it's kind of annoying. But it will work. In fact, let's go ahead and put that on Bride and then go ahead and do one of those. Not going to give the Castoria NP yet because I'd like to sit on the Castoria NP until he's closer to his NP. Because someone's got to protect the party. But in the meantime, this will actually help get everyone's cooldowns back faster. I'd look at Shufu's kit a little closer to determine if she's a Grail target. I mean, it depends on if you're thinking about it for gameplay or just character design wise. I'm gonna say character design wise, you'll probably Grail her, Faye. Gameplay wise, you're not really gonna get much out of grailing her. Like the best part about grailing her would be that she just has more HP and can take more of a beating. But she's really not offensive focused in that regard. Like she's offensive in the sense that she can help somebody else, but not so much in her own case. You know what? Since we already are like this will kill him, so we're basically just gonna go ahead and fire off the NP and take him out and not have to worry about his NP. Ben-K coming in clutch. Oh my god. Ben-K spotted. I thought Cad wasn't doing any more challenge quests. Listen, the most difficult challenge you will ever face in life is overcoming yourself. Okay? Like that's the best advice I can give you, right? So sometimes you just have to fight yourself. And you better win. Because if you don't win, then, well, how can you expect to win against anything else in life? So this is me fighting myself right now. Oh boy, I got 1,000,000 HP to go. This'll be fun. I have no enemies moment. Exactly. The only enemy is myself. Oh wait, this is Setheno, so I can't wait for Setheno to NP and death proc me. That's gonna be a fun one. This is such a crappy card allotment. At least I have a single target for this, but this is definitely not going to go by fast. I'm not going to lose this node, chat. That's the hilarious part about this. Like, I will win. It's just really freaking funny how long this is going to take. And I say that, she might beat me if she keeps this up. I'm just going to keep stuff on cooldown. Oh, these are crap cards. Basically, I've got to get Bride to her NP here soon. And Tamamo, for that matter, but, did you just drain Bride? You piece of shit. You actual piece of shit, Setheno. I swear the game, like, knows. Gonna do it like that, and then I'll let Tamamo back in it. I'm gonna be disappointed if I get death procced, but it'll be what it'll be. Setheno beats Cad's waifus. I mean, she might. Death proc is the only way I think she's actually gonna win this, but it is what it is. We doing any Ordeal Call 2 progress today? Do you not realize this is Ordeal Call 2? Look, I'm fighting a 1 million HP Setheno. Take Quartz revive, please no. Alright, the moment of truth. No one in this party should be divine. So it should be okay. Okay, sweet. That charm is always a piece of crap. Okay, so we're going to do a Tamamo NP, we're going to take a Castoria card, and we're going to take a Bride card. Actually, I should have probably inverted that and put the Castoria card last, because Bride's going to get to the NP thanks to the Tamamo NP. Isn't the death mail only? Is it on her? If so, then I'm okay, but... Oh, the charm is, okay. Oh, right, Tamamo is divine. Listen, chat. It's been a hot second. I am definitely tired today. I apologize for my stupidity. That's all I can say. Like, I am not myself. Not this time of year. Setheno, nah, I'd win. It feels like that's what she's going for. Cad forgetting Mekon lore. Yeah, I don't know why. It's like I'm sitting there staring at her and I'm just thinking it's like the Tamamo you're presented with in front of yourself and not the nine-tailed fox, right? Oh boy, here we go again. Gonna go ahead and do that. You know what? Screw it. I'm draining you. Yeah, the goal is just gonna be keep trying to get back to Tamamo and Brides and Peas, I think, at this point. At this point, though, like, I still have another spare Castoria, so it's like... There's not really, like I do win at this point. It's just a matter of time. Okay. Oh boy! I got a plug suit attack up. Tammy doesn't really act divine in her perfect wife mode. Yeah, I think that's kind of why, is like how she is presented right now doesn't really strike me as divine, right? Final wave, aka Dragon Time, you can do it, Liz. Oh boy. There you go, chat. Perfectly normal, completely average and respectable 24 turn of the Ordeal Call node. See, 90 plus plus isn't hard. Actually, this isn't even 90 plus plus. This is 90 star. And 90 star is so much easier, as you can tell. Peak efficiency. Yeah, peak efficiency. Oh boy. All right, chat, I have to run that one more time. This will be a 2-turn. Don't worry. Yeah. That's the problem right there. So it's the fact that I have my my Castoria in this comp, because it's supposed to be that instead. Almost 30 minutes. Yeah, I mean, it takes a long time sometimes, right? This is, especially if you have to wait through enemy actions, it starts adding a shit ton of time. This is why, like, a 4-turn is a 4-turn is doubly as long as a 3-turn usually. And the reason is because you start having to wait through the enemy's actions and it gets really stupid. If you normally, like, just sit there and like 3-turn against stuff, enemies never get any time. And so you just blitz right through it. But the second you start letting enemies get a turn, the whole game slows way down. Okay, this is just me actually trying. Dad can't even recognize his wife. No, I did. I just was talking with chat and did not pay a lick of attention. I gotta get statues. It's a bit hard for me as I need so many, but I don't have any. So my advice is to try to get them from events overall and get them from the event shops. It can be difficult. You do get them from the tutorial missions, and you can otherwise get them by running the training ground daily. So that's how a lot of people do it. Usually I tell people the only one you probably will need to is going to be the caster one because of all the support casters. But it is what it is. See, chat? Look, double Castoria clear again. Let's see if it takes us 24 turns. Well, that was slightly faster. Slightly. Is what it is. So not now one event ends, another begins. Kinda, right? You're gonna need them all if you want to max out your class score. No, it's fine. I'm just sitting on the AP because if we have spare time, I'm gonna do Ordeal Call 2 with you guys tonight. We have basically half an hour. Let me see if I can fit one of the recordings in here first. I don't know why that defaults to taking you to the page instead of just opening up the search bar like it normally does. Like fandom's entire site is going to shit. Which is probably the truth of why it's so hard for them to update it constantly. Really? I'm surprised. Okay. Avalon, was Summer Hoku not capable without Black Grail? Or with Black Grail, rather? I assume it relied on carding. Okay. Wow, yeah, Trubs ain't wrong. Benny Inma really needs an upgrade. Trung Sisters don't have Invuln Pierce. Yeah. No, I don't want buy ID, damn it. Buy ID's the worst. Do by effect. Under buff and debuff? Yes. What was this from? Valentine's? Okay. Oh my god. This should have been the one that just came out, right? No, this is last year's. Intriguing. Have we really not had that much? So this is the one that just came out. NP damage and NP gen? Yeah, this one was not bad. Yeah, I'll go ahead and go with that. I want something to recommend other than Honey Lake because I know how difficult it is for people to get something like Honey Lake nowadays. Yeah, it should be it. Skip this song. Okay. Listen, chat, you guys control song requests, and there's only one song in the song request queue. So it's totally on you. Khadroth live, yes. All right, let's get this party started. No, I'm skipping this one because there's just no way I'm gonna be able to keep a straight face while recording to that song. Yeah, that's bait, chat. At least try to keep it kosher for me while I'm recording. Who is Avalon and where can I see their content and guides? Avalon is one of my mods and he posts all the stuff on the Discord. Okay. Actually, one more question here out of curiosity. When is Trung Sisters' next banner? We got Sea Monster Crisis, Lucky Bag. Lucky Bag. Looks like it's not till 8th Annie. Yeah. This is just an actual banner that they were on. So Trung Sisters don't come back for over a year. That's a little disheartening. Yeah, if you guys need a link to the Discord, just type in !Discord. Okay, let's talk shop with the Trung Sisters. Oh. Thank you, Age. Hey guys, my name's Khadroth, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about the Trung Sisters. They're going to be the limited 5-star single target saber that's going to be coming out with the Sea Monster Crisis event here. Now, Trung Sisters are, I'm going to say, an interesting unit over time. They're not like this sexy new unit that everyone's super hyped for or anything like that. But they're a sneakily good unit. And the thing that I'm going to try to really emphasize here with them is that Trung Sisters are very good in a challenge environment. They're very good in a group environment. And you're going to see why as we go through their kit. So they're certainly a good unit to consider. Definitely not something that everybody has to go out and rush out and try to pick up. If you're in saving mode, I think you're okay to continue saving. But the Trung Sisters can be a really good unit to have in your back pocket, especially for certain really annoying fights. So I'm going to try to make the case for them as we go through their entire kit. Unfortunately, as I said, they are limited, so Trung Sisters are really not going to have another banner for over a year. They're going to come back with the 8th anniversary next year, so not even this year again. So if you don't roll for them here, you're looking at least a decently long wait if you can't get lucky and snag them in a GSSR. So in that regard, this is why it's worth considering right now, as opposed to waiting and then going, oh wait, do I actually want to roll later? So again, Trung Sisters are going to start out here with basically almost 12k attack. This is a very nice number, especially for a saber. It's not the best amongst all sabers or anything like that, but it is a very respectable number and certainly pretty decent in comparison to really a lot of other classes. Now, again, as I said, they are single target, they are arts, but they do have at least up to 14k HP here. This is going to be really good for them. It's going to make them on the thicker side, a little bit beefier. Certainly not as well crazy amounts, but it's at least a respectable amount. They are man attribute here, and they do have 100 star absorption, which is right on the average. They've got 10.2 star generation, which is slightly higher than average, and basically 0.43 NP charge attack rate. This is seemingly low, but I think you're going to see it's not really that big of a concern. They do have NP charge defense of a standard amount of 3%, and they have slightly under average death rate, but still not great, and an alignment of lawful and good. The Trung Sisters are female. They do have the divine trait. They are a group servant, so kind of like Dioscuri, where it's 2 servants in 1. That's kind of what this is talking about here. And the Hominidae servant, humanoid, sovereign, aka king, or riding servant, 7 knight servant, stout defender, and weak to intima elish. So they've got a whole litany of traits, especially as we've been going over some of the recent JP units where they seemingly are cutting down on trait bloat. Trung Sisters are a big point of just kind of, they have a lot of them. Now you can see here their deck is actually 2B, 2A, 1Q, that is to say 2 Buster, 2 Arts, 1 Quick, and they do have fairly good hit counts. Basically everything hit count wise is average, with the exception being their Arts card, which is exactly what you would want, being above average. This is probably another reason that they kept the NP charge attack rate lower, is because again, these 2 Arts cards will do pretty good refund wise. Now, talking about their actual skills here, we can see that they have party-wide attack up for 3 turns and party-wide arts performance for 3 turns. So this first skill kind of just hits you right off the bat and shows you that the focus of the Trung Sisters is on the group and trying to make sure everybody is kind of going down the stretch through the fight with them. So you can see, again, it's 3 turns of party-wide attack and arts. That's just really solid, and it's all on a 5-turn cooldown. So you've also got a low cooldown to boot. Their second skill here is going to increase their own arts performance even further by an additional 15%. So that's going to be 30% for them total right there. And then Buster performance as well for 15%. So again, that 2A, 2B type of deck there, this means you've got basically 80% card coverage for the Trung Sisters with their with this second skill. And then it's going to grant them a self buff on attack for 3 turns, which is that whenever they attack with a arts card, it's going to increase their Buster performance by 10%. Whenever they attack with a Buster card, it's going to increase their arts performance by 10%. So basically, if you use one card, it'll buff the other card type. So again, if you're doing like a BAA chain, something like Buster Arts, right? Then that lead Buster card is going to buff arts, and then the subsequent arts cards will be able to take advantage of it. So it works really, really good in that regard, as it allows you to just sort of kind of keep like jacking up the main cards you would want to be using anyways on the Trung Sisters. And probably the craziest part about this is all on a 4-turn cooldown. So they have absurd uptime. Even if you don't lower this skill, it's still only going to be on a 5-turn cooldown, which is also not bad. So you've got really, really nice like cooldowns already, as you can see with the Trung Sisters. We get to the third skill. The third skill is going to be a self-charge of up to 30% here, NP generation for the entire party by 20%, and party critical attack chance resistance for 3 turns by 20%. So to summarize again, basically only their second skill is selfish. Everything else does stuff for the party. And really what's nice about this one is that it's self-charge, party-wide NP gain, and it's going to start protecting the party from just stray crits. So again, you can already just see they're making the party stronger, they're protecting the party, and we haven't even gotten to the NP yet. The Trung Sisters do have passive magic resistance B, writing B, and divinity C here. So again, some additional debuff resistance, quick performance for their singular quick card, and divinity adding a little bit of flat damage to the damage calculations. Not anything too strong, but again, pretty decent to say the least. There are pen skills here. They do have anti-assassin attack damage aptitude. There's not really any synergy here, so I wouldn't worry too much about this one. This should be the odd man out for your appends, because again, the focus is going to primarily be on either the extra attack finesse or the mana loading. I do recommend, as usual, mana loading, especially on an arts unit. You're going to be probably wanting to loop them a lot, so having an easier time getting to that initial NP can just help you out. Might help you out in terms of being able to shift different supports around, or maybe just use different craft essences in conjunction with them. So it's usually the first one I'm going to recommend. But still, given the fact that we know this is going to be a challenge-oriented unit, maybe the extra attack finesse really calls to you, because remember, it's not just the extra damage that you're getting on enhancing this. You're also getting enhanced star generation and NP generation by working on it. So really a decent append to consider. The Noble Phantasm here is a 9-hit single target arts NP, so you know refund's going to be pretty decent there as a result of that. And we do have the ability to just straight up deal damage to one enemy. But then the kicker here, and the reason that this is the Trung Sisters are so party oriented, is because then they're going to heal the party's HP by 1,000 every turn for 3 turns. So as you're looping them, this is just going to start stacking, and you're just going to keep healing everybody. This is going to be great for things like a Castoria comp, or heck, maybe even if you're including someone like Tamamo, and you're maybe in between Tamamo NPs, and you just need people to kind of not get beaten down and killed off before Tamamo can get that NP off. There you go. You're going to have at least a little bit more staying power thanks to this. So again, the Trung Sisters have a very, very party-oriented kit. And if that wasn't apparent, here you go with the overcharge. We're further going to increase the party's arts and Buster performance for 3 turns by an additional 10% after the NP goes out. So this isn't going to impact the NP itself unless you're looping for a second NP, but this will at least make sure that the party overall is going to have good performance. And again, enhancing arts performance for the entire party in an arts comp is just going to lead to even faster NPs, not only from someone like the Trung Sisters, but also from your supports. And you could even say that the Trung Sisters might even be a support depending on how you look at it. They're just not really a meta one. They are somewhat of a hybrid. They can definitely help deal damage and be the sort of damage focus, but they can also help keep the party alive and keep everything rolling. And so in that regard, I think you can see the Trung Sisters have a very synergistic and party-oriented kit. It's something that's just really going to help them out in certain really annoying boss fights. Now, let's go ahead and talk about those refund numbers. Now, in the Trung Sisters case, their refund is not the best, and a lot of it is going to be kept down by this NP charge attack rate, but it's not the end of the world, as they do have a lot of stuff in their kit to help out. So they can end up with even only 1 out of the possible 9 hits of overkill, which is basically saying you killed the enemy if you got even 1 hit of overkill. You would be looking at functionally 52.9% if we're working with double Castoria. So again, they're going to get half of that NP back. They're going to end up having all those additional party-wide effects, and then you're also going to probably have the Castorias charging them, so it's not going to be that difficult to get back, or maybe even rely on cards from this point to make sure they get back to 100%. And certainly that's not even considering things like a boss hitting them back, which can absolutely be the case. So there are numerous ways that you can make sure that this would end up being a very consistent refund amount. Anything over 50% is usually going to be pretty good at ensuring that you can get back to another NP. And Arts usually doesn't struggle. If you do manage to get all 9 out of 9 overkill hits, which is highly unlikely, you could get up to 75% refund with double Castoria, but again, that's probably not that likely, but it's just a good idea to have an idea of the scalability of their NP gain. You're never going to really get beyond that unless you're including a third support, someone like maybe like a Nero Bride or a Tamamo, to get even more. But that is obviously an option, and it would be something that you could do. Now, as for Trung Sisters, like craft essence recommendations, then as a result, I'm going to highly recommend Black Grail, because we just know that the Trung Sisters already have a very party-oriented kit. Their damage is not going to be the strongest in the game by any means, but it's actually not that bad. You're going to be probably pretty surprised by how decent it can be, sort of a little bit of a modern power creep, if you will, for the single-target sabers. But again, it's still not going to be the best in class. So, and with that in mind, I'm going to recommend something like Black Grail just to help out that damage even more, but maybe refund is a little bit more of the concern. Maybe you just don't like the fact of relying potentially on cards or something like that. So we can always recommend something like Ocean Flyer as a 50% starting charge C, and it would be very good for you. If you wanted to maybe start from 0, but maybe wanted a teensy-weensy bit more refund, then something like Royal Icing, which is another welfare CE from the old Oniland event, could be an option, as this would give you at least 10% arts. And there are numerous other 0% starting charge Cs that could help you out in this regard. Something like, say, Sign of a Smiling Face, or even Knowing the Way broadly. But again, none of those options are going to end up being welfare, so it's just kind of up to you to determine which CE would work best for you in that scenario. Obviously, we also have considerations for things like Honey Lake. As you saw, the Trung Sisters don't have any invuln pierce or buff stripping capabilities, so you're probably going to want a good invuln pierce type of CE on hand to help them out. And Honey Lake is just sort of the gold standard for those right now, given the fact that it gives that 40% power mod to impact not only the NP, but also potential carding applications. You would need to put burn command codes on her in order to take advantage of it, but it would not be that difficult to secure, and it would actually help out the damage significantly while still providing the invuln pierce. But Honey Lake is somewhat hard to get. It's all the way from back at Summer 5, so at this point, if you don't have your hands on it, it could be somewhat difficult to acquire. We did have a much more recent addition to the roster, though, that could help out with that. If you did manage to roll the Valentine's banner, Valentine Witches here is a decent one as well. As you can see at MLB, it will be Ignore Invincibility, NP damage of 25%, and some additional NP generation there of 10%. You've also got the attack up being just full scaling there, so definitely a decent option for you. And again, it's not the only one, as there are going to be plenty more to come still, or plenty more that you might already have. But that's the consideration in terms of craft essences that I would go with. Talking about Trung Sisters' actual damage, this is just self-buff only, and you can see, I believe these are neutral numbers as well. So this is basically just going to be them under their own power without having to consider something like, again, like external support from a Castoria or Tamamo or something like that. You can also see if we were to try to work out sort of their optimal charge scenario here, this is going to be starting them from 0. We'd start out with the Trung Sisters' own charge, basically work in the entirety of one of the Castoria skills, use the NP gain from another Castoria, and that alone is going to get you up to 100% and pretty much get you at full refund. They're going to refund back 52%. You're going to end up using the other Castoria's 30%, mix in an Oberon 20% from there. You're at 100% again for wave 2, and you're good. They're going to refund back 55% here, and then you just use Oberon's final charge skill, and that's going to be enough to loop them. So that's an easy demonstration of kind of how to figure out how to make them work, but that's assuming you just want a 3-turn and you're not doing something challenging necessarily. So talking about the damage in that scenario, we're looking at basically a 2x Castoria Oberon with level 100 Black Grail and Neo Plug. Obviously, idyllic settings, not everyone's going to necessarily have an MLB Black Grail. Not everyone's going to have a Neo Plug suit all the way maxed out yet. But certainly it's something to consider as we look at this just for a comparative sake. And you can see they actually do a very respectable number here, even at NP1 at 498. This is certainly not top in class, though, so we've got some other considerations for competitors that we can look at. So, for instance, if we start looking at Summer Hokusai, who is a welfare, you can actually beat her damage ever so slightly. Problem with this is we are assuming a level 100 sign of a smiling face, which is another very limited craft essence, so it's not necessarily going to be something that someone's going to have. And again, this is still assuming idyllic conditions, if you will. But this would be something that would give her at least a slight damage edge, and you could maybe risk it and go with Black Grail on Hokusai for even better numbers, but you would have to rely on cards at that point. Still, if you manage to want a super consistent method as well, Ocean Flyer is another like decent welfare option that we've talked about. This would pull her numbers down quite a bit, but she would still be in that same ballpark as the Trung Sisters there. Again, as you can see, as the Trung Sisters were at that 498 number. Now, we do have another one out there who's another 4-star, and that's Saito. Saito Hajime has a pretty interesting track as well. He's actually been a pretty good looper, and he actually does work for looping over the upcoming, really, I'd say, first 90++ farm node that we get in Summer 7, which is going to end up being a 1-1-1 Lancer node, basically, with Enkidu at the end. And Saito was used in that. He was not necessarily the best option, but he was an option that a lot of people had that worked. And so you can see he can kind of do pretty decent numbers. This is using Royal Icing, not even something like Black Grail, because again, you're probably going to have to rely on cards if you're going to make that work. But it is something that could be possible depending on you getting overkill hits with Saito. So looking at that, just at MP1, he'd only be at 311, but already at MP2, it's starting to scale really well. And at MP5, he will actually beat the Trung Sisters. So at that point, there is something to be considered depending on if you've rolled. Saito as well, like we said, if you wanted to look at actual Black Grail numbers, this is going to help him out quite a bit more. As you can see already then at NP2, Saito is just trouncing them, whereas at NP1, he would still be lower than them significantly. But again, it's really just going to depend on if you want to rely on the cards or if you think you can get away with it. So then next up here is Dioscuri, and Dioscuri is going to be the comparison that I think a lot of people are going to draw. They're yet another twin unit. They're also a single target Arts Saber, and they have a very interesting card-oriented kit, just like basically the Trung Sisters have. So looking at this, you can see the idyllic settings for Dioscuri is going to be 2x Castoria Oberon, a level 100 Ocean Flyer, and Neo Plug suit. Again, even with Sign of a Smiling Face or something like that, you would need 5 out of 8 overkill hits to make it work. So it's not very reasonable to assume that you can make something like that work. You might with really low health enemies, but anything challenging, probably not going to be the case. Still, though, you can see Dioscuri, the damage number here is going to be a lot less. Even at NP2, they're going to end up failing the mark quite a bit. But part of the reason for stuff like this is because of the actual kit that Dioscuri has. And again, Dioscuri probably is at this point in need of a damage upgrade. So this is why I said you might see a little bit of power creep out of the Trung Sisters in that regard. But remember, Dioscuri does have Invuln Pierce on every single NP, so that is also a sort of mark in their favor, as they wouldn't need to rely on an Invuln Pierce CE nearly as much as some of the other units would. So again, definitely not as much in terms of damage, but certainly good. I think this is a really interesting comparison, and that's Beni Inma. Beni Inma is another really party-oriented single-target saber, and I think this pretty clearly shows that Beni Inma at this point really does need an NP interlude. And the easy example of this is because at NP1 outside of niche, Beni Inma is a good 200k less than even Saber Hokusai. This is again using something like Ocean Flyer, but if you even include one power mod, the numbers start to climb quite a bit. At 2 power mods, we're back up to 400k, and basically at NP2, with 2 power mods, we'd actually be beating the Trung Sisters, and at 1 power mod, we'd be close. So I think the problem here is just that you do kind of need that standard NP interlude for her. But yes, she would be very strong in niche if they did that. Still, I think it's kind of overdue at this point, as Beni Inma has been around for a long time. And then as we look towards Bride I'm going to say is probably the epitome of a unit that doesn't need it, because Bride has so much other usefulness. So as we start looking at this, just a sort of naked NP1 here. Well, sorry, not naked, but like with the actual supports just at NP1, no niche. You would be looking at basically 385 there by wave 3, which is certainly comparable, but not nearly as good, right? The second you get into Sky Niche, though, all of a sudden Bride is right up there competitive with the Trung Sisters, so that is a thing. And there is nothing stopping you from using the Trung Sisters with a unit like Nero Bride or Beni Inma and just kind of combining their powers, if you will, to make a really effective damage comp against some annoying Lancer boss or something like that. And certainly then at NP2, and especially with the Sky Niche, you're looking at all of a sudden now just kind of going right over the top of the Trung Sisters. So at that point, I think you could say that Bride is still in a very good position, since she is very flexible as far as units go. She has had a lot of upgrades over the years as well, so I think it has kept her still pretty good to this point in time. Now again, this is my opinion that the Trung Sisters are probably a lot better than most people give them credit for. But what do you guys think about them, and will you be rolling for them basically today as this video comes out? I'll be curious to hear you guys' thoughts. Also, which Ascension form do you like of the Trung Sisters the best? I actually find them to be pretty interesting, as their design is very Pokemon-esque, if you will. So again, I'll be curious to hear you guys' thoughts, and I will see you guys for the next video. Ooh, 4 minutes to spare. Let's go. Woo! I like the spooky Ascension. This one, or are you talking about this one? Like, honestly, seeing them in their sprites actually helps out quite a bit. Like, I actually do like the spooky Ascension as well. If you can't run it, your damage, or if you can run it, your damage skyrockets. Yeah, I mean, I think that's just the case with Black Grail in general, right? It's just sort of always been the case at this point. Okay, let's get set up for the Chaldea Broadcast station that premieres in 2 minutes, chat. So, YouTube people, congrats, you're about to get Inception. It's gonna happen. You get to watch someone on YouTube, watch something... Sorry, on YouTube, you get to watch someone on Twitch, watch something on YouTube. It is what it is at this point. Yeah, it is one of the Pokemon artists. That is why it evokes that. So I 100% said that for bait. So, meta, yes. Would you like to see a Summer Draco? Just bear in mind that it may be small. If it's the small version, I do not want to see it. Oh boy, save up to $30 on YouTube TV. How about no? Let's also get rid of probably what is the most cursed chat imaginable. Premieres in 60 seconds. Chat, I'm just gonna go ahead and warn you that this will very likely be like blurst. Okay? Just because volume levels have always been atrocious on these things. I'm gonna try my best to equalize the volume, but don't blame me if it blows your ears out. Okay. I think Swimsuit Lip has a good chance this year. Well, yeah, I mean, he made pretty direct, obvious comments, right? If you can get Takeuchi to agree, yeah, that's the other problem, right? Getting him to actually okay it. They look like they're related to some Lovecraft god. Oh, you'll see. The story, I think the story in this event is very interesting. Like, I don't know all of it, but I kind of know some of it, and I'm intrigued. I'm interested to read it. I love watching these videos live. Well, thank you. I just got to get more people to watch the videos when they're not live. And that's why I said, like, one of my considerations is I'm not sure what to do with the YouTube side of stream right now, because it's definitely impacting how much people watch my actual YouTube videos. But like, I don't know what to do about that. It's like, oh, do I just not stream on YouTube at all? And that doesn't feel fair to the YouTube people at this point. Gonna be live or pre-recorded? It's pre-recorded. This is a light stream, so. Well, actually, I say that. I don't know if it's pre-recorded. It probably is pre-recorded, but just depends. Well, I know some people really hated this event. Really? I didn't have any issue with it. I mean, maybe like the building side of things, but I guess like that doesn't bother me because I've done it before. Anyone that played Summer 1 knows that it could have been way worse. My ears have bled? Okay, so you want me to turn it up more. You want louder. Yeah, look at it. I got it on 5 for the volume, okay? 5. Not a lot I can do. Okay. Turn down the source in OBS. The source is already at like 60%. Like it's already turned down quite a bit. It's fine. It's just the premiere. Like the premiere itself, like the starting music volume on YouTube, always loud. Always. There's like nothing you can do about it. I mean, I could actually just like mute it and then you don't have to listen to it, but like right now it's not that loud. Also, before this starts, rip Bozit about Tesla Fest and the CBC events. Fine for me. Nice hat, just noticed. Yes. Yes, this comes from one of the old NA Live events that I did not go to, but was given by a friend. It's not loud enough until you can taste the sound. Yeah.
Hello everyone, I'm Albert Kyle, the localization producer for Fate Grand Order here at Aniplex of America. Welcome to Chaldea Broadcast.
Is it too loud, chat?
Light Volume 6. Today is the pre-release special for the upcoming event Water Monsters Crisis, the Floating Island of Innocence. Before we get into the latest events and some of the ongoing stuff, I do kind of want to give a reminder that recently we've been having sponsored streams with Inanis of Hololive EN, and the next FGO stream will be on Friday, March 29th at 7 p.m. Pacific time. We really enjoy her gameplay, so if you haven't checked it out, please watch her
10 p.m. Eastern.
on March 29th. Before we talk about the upcoming events, let's take a look at some of the stuff that's happening currently right now.
Must be nice for them to like
so
promote
first
you.
Up, we have Road to 7 Lost Belt number 2 happening right now. So for this event, a new interlude for Scotty has been added, and 4 campaigns relating to Lost Belt number 2 servants are also happening.
Yeah, congrats.
Their
you have like 3 more days.
Interludes are unlockable even for servants you don't own, so use this opportunity
I don't know why the fuck they did this
story,
during the Lotto.
and you also get send codes from them. Interlude and Rank Up Quest AP will be halved for servants as related to Lost Belt number 2. Bond points gained from a free quest in Lost Belt 2 will also increase, 2 times super and great success chance when you enhance them, and 2 times experience gained for servants relating to Lost Belt number 2. Next, we also have AP cost is going to be 1/4 when you play through the main quest for Part 2, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Free quest clear missions for Lost Belt number 2 will be added to the Master's missions, and recollection quest will also be released. Check out our official website for more information. And next, we have Road to 7 for Lost Belt number 2. And let's take a deeper look into the many features that's going to be coming with this campaign. So first, we have Spotlight Lost Belt. A Spotlight Lost Belt is a broadcast program that invites Japanese voice actors to talk about and look back on each of the chapters in Part 2. The program for Chapter 2 was recently released, so check it out if you have not. The guest for Chapter 2 will be Haruki Ishiya and Minami Tanaka. And also during the same time, Rediscover Movie will also be available. Rediscover Movie is a short trailer that takes scenes from each chapters of Part 2 to look back on the story, which include actually newly recorded voice lines. And finally, we have memorial illustrations, and they are special illustrations drawn exclusively for the Road to 7 campaign that features memorable scenes from each of the Lost Belt. For Lost Belt number 2, we have Ta and Shiro Miwa that provided these wonderful illustrations for us. And additionally, on the Road to 7 website, we also have special interview with Ta. So please check them out on the website. And now let's take a look of the Rediscover Movie Lost Belt number 2.
ロシア異文体を踏破した我々が北海を目指したゼロセイルの末にたどり着いたのは炎と氷が山を覆い寝台の巨人族が闊歩する北欧異文体だった。この世界において人々は異文体の王スカサハスカディを神として崇めており、伝説に名高い戦を止めワリキューレたちがスカディに仕えていた。北欧を担当するクリプターオフェリア・ファムルソローネとそのサーバントシグルドもスカディと良好な関係を築きつつ空想時の成長を促していた。我々カルデアはシグルドによる襲撃を受けてペーパームーンを奪われてしまう。この時に私は深い傷を負って戦線を離脱してしまった。私の馬力もまだまだということかな。現地で反人類史の英雄ナポレオンと合流し、カルデアにとって会心の一手となるのはこの異文体に存在するもう一柱の女神だという情報を得てワルキューレの長子にして反しブリュンヒルデと合流する。最後のピースを揃えた我々は難敵シグルドを打倒したものの、そこから現れたのは炎の巨人王スルトだった。かつて狂ったラグナロクを迎えた北欧異文体にてムスペルヘイムの支配者に立ち向かうカルデアの運命はと、この結末を私が語るのは良くないな。決戦の勝敗は前線に立っていた者たちが語るべきことだからね。
And next, we also have Pickup Summon for Lost Belt number 2. The Lost Belt number 2 Pickup Summon is also happening right now. And this is your chance to get some of the servants who made an impact on the story of Lost Belt 2. A lot of them are very powerful servants, so please use this opportunity if you do not have them in your
They've
Chaldea.
definitely given Scotty more banners
Next,
on it now.
We have Singularity Repair Support Campaign 2024 Part 2. And for this campaign, we have a special accrue login bonus that's happening right now. If you log in on the first day, you'll get 3 Leyline Stone. And on the second day, you'll get 10 Hellfire of Wisdom. And on the third day, you will have 2 million QP.
Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but
and
I don't even think you'll have the Leyline Stones for Tron.
Will be unlocked for
like, I
every
think they
day of the
expire
week,
before that.
and special mission will also be added. And this campaign will last until April 7, so use this opportunity. let's take a look at a new campaign that will be happening soon, and that will be the Spring 2024 New Master Support campaign. And for this campaign, we actually have a special illustration that features our favorite Kohai, Mash. So let's take a look at the illustration. The illustration is features Mash wearing a school uniform, which was drawn just for this campaign, which is very cute here. So this is your chance to pause the video, save the screenshot, use it for your computer desktop. And now let's take a look at the Spring 2024 New Master Support campaign in more details. So this is a campaign that will be exciting for both new masters and seasoned masters. First, for a limited time, Stardust login bonus will increase, and then Spring 2024 New Master Support Special Mission will be added to Master Missions for a limited time. Your friend slot will be increased by 3 permanently, and for a limited time, part
I can add 3 more of you.
Event quest will only cost 1/4 to play, so this will greatly help masters who just started the game to play through part 1. In addition, we will have a Spring 2024 New Master Support social media campaign. If we hit all the goals, the players can receive Sancords, tickets, silver fruit, gold fruits, mana prisms, rare prisms, and QP. And both the support campaign itself and the social media campaign will be happening in limited time, so please use this opportunity. Now let's move on to the latest game information segment. So let's take a look at the latest event. The latest event is titled Water Monsters Crisis, the Floating Island of Innocence.
I don't know why they didn't translate it as Sea Monsters.
Let's take a look at the prologue text. Carl last time from our previous stream had gotten a taste of reading the prologue, and he loves it now, so he has volunteered himself to read the prologue for us.
Wait, they brought Carl back?
A clear blue sky, fluffy white clouds, and a vast ocean that spreads as far as the eye can see. Is it already time for another tumultuous summer event? The excitement is short-lived. However, as this mysterious new island they discover sits in uncharted waters, it is, at least, definitely on Earth. The story begins when Chaldea comes across some peculiar squishy creatures, a talking sea turtle, and a pair of girls claiming to be their protectors. It seems strange. Dangerous sea monsters have been preying upon the squishy creatures of the island, which has been taken over, leaving only a makeshift village floating over the water. With your help, we may be able to go on the offensive. Then we might be able to truly take the island back. Now to reclaim what was taken, Master and the Squishies leap into action.
So there you have it, and I wonder what the prologue is talking about.
So that was recorded on a laptop mic.
The story for yourself.
I can tell.
Speaking of the story, let's take a look at a short video, capture a snippet of the adventure part of the story. Let's take a look.
Oh boy, spoilers. Chat, we're having a Nom flashback. Eight-hour spoilers, woo, yeah. Well, it's why, like, a little bit, I don't know why they do these things, really. I guess it's just something more to show, but... most of the times it's inconsequential, but, like, I still remember I got really angry at them for LB4 because they showed off Arjuna Altar early. And I was like, the hell? And not only did they show it off, they straight up set a line that it's like you don't find out until later into the Lost Belt. Professional stalling. I think it's stalled better than this. This is amateur stalling. Chat, who's that? I've never seen them before. Looks like sexy blonde Ishtar. A new red face? Yeah. Hey, chat, it's Erish Summer. This is the summer event that she was in. It's the closest you get. Sadly, it is, at least for now, right? And I think that's probably this, in all seriousness, chat, I think this event and her involvement in it is a big reason why, like, you didn't get her in a summer event since then. But I think it's really stupid that that's the case. This year we get summer airs for sure. Yeah, for sure. What was that? Oh god, was that a Florida man on bath salts? Ocean man, take me by the land, to the hand.
Those squishy creatures are really cute. So play through the story and find out who they are. Next, let's take a look.
He sounds like he's forcing himself so much.
Slide,
he sounds tired. He sounds like
event
me.
Limited servant. So this event, you will be able to add a new servant to your roster once you progress.
You don't get the welfare till the end.
However, this servant is key to the scenario, so unlike usual, we won't be able to reveal the servant's
There is a reason for this, chat.
Just yet.
I didn't know of it when I played on JP.
Event,
I have since learned of it, but
and once
I didn't
you finish
know.
the event completely, you'll be able to add them to your roster. Next, let's take a look at this video.
I think everybody actually is like out of the office and went home. You'll notice it's pretty similar to Saber Hokusai's MP. But they do have a very beautiful MP.
5-star GSSR Saber Servant will be added for this event. And that is actually a very cinematic looking Noble Phantasm. So I hope everybody will play the event, find out what their story is like in the game, and get the servant for yourself. Next, let's look at the craft essence that will be available for this event as well. Each of this craft essence will increase the drop for event items for
That's so weird.
event. Also, as usual, I always like to say these illustrations are very beautiful. So you can just get them, add them to your collection as I do, and add them to your gallery. But they will be also be very useful for this event, as you need to collect these event items to get limited items.
Yep, there's only 2 hours left in the Lotto.
Materials and enhancement materials for your servants. Of course, with each event, we'll have a pickup summon. The pickup summon for Water Monsters Crisis will feature the new 5-star GSSR Saber Servant, when also include the 3 limited craft essence we've just seen. So when will the event start? The event will start tonight, March 29th from 2 a.m. Pacific time. So we hope you will enjoy the event. To play the event, you will need to clear Lost Spell number 2 to play the event. Additionally, this event will have some spoilers for Part 2, Chapter 6, Avalon LeFay. So please play with discretion if you haven't played through Chapter 6 yet. Finally, let's take the introductory
assuming you don't get to use them in the Lotto, use them in the 90 plus in this event.
That was the Water Monsters event intro video, so please look forward to it. In addition, at the end of April, there will be a Learning with Manga FGO collaboration event, so look forward to that as well.
Okay,
Lastly,
so they announced the collab.
We have a social media campaign
that was the
for the
most lackluster collab announcement
I've ever seen. And earlier we have reached all our social media goal. So thank you for everyone to participate in the social media campaign.
Yep.
And thank you everyone for reaching the goal. And as a reward, all masters will receive 6 Sencords in a few days. So please check your present box later on in game. So that's all we have for today. So please leave a comment below. Let us know what you think about a CBS live stream, and I hope you guys all enjoyed the event. And I'll see you next time.
Oh, don't say that,
Bye.
Albert. Don't say that. Holy shit. That chat, as far as like demeanor was, that's one of the worst streams I've ever seen them do. Like, I don't mind it being short, but like, I'm sorry, get someone else to do it, Albert. Like, that was really, really freaking bad. Like, don't sit there and sound all depressed. You're supposed to be the hype man for FGO. Like, I'm sorry, chat. Like, and I'm gonna give you an example. If they got me to do that, I'd be like, now announcing the collab for, like, it would be that like super annoying YouTuber, like always hype type of mentality. Because that's the whole point. You have to act excited, because if you don't act excited, you can't reasonably expect anyone else to be, right? You're the one that's giving them the news. You're supposed to look like you're excited and stuff like that. So I don't mind them not being constantly bubbling with joy or anything like that, but no, he sounded like he just wanted to like curl up into a ball and die. Like,
the pickup summon for what I haven't played. Below, let us know what you think about a CBS live stream, and I hope you guys all enjoyed the event. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.
Like, he looks so dead inside. I'm sorry. It's just that's weird to me. And like I said, that's got to be the worst collab announcement I've ever seen.
Event, so look forward to that as well. That was the Water Monsters event intro video, so please look forward to it. In addition, at the end of April, there will be a Learning with Manga FGO collaboration event, so look forward to that as well.
That's like, he doesn't tell us anything about it. It's Learning with Manga collab. And the only reason that I'm gonna like say that this is bad is just because like a lot of us, if you know the upcoming like schedule because you were paying attention to JP, you know what this is. If you don't know what this is, you probably just saw that, thought that was just another like webcomic they're gonna post on Twitter, and you just scrolled right by and didn't care. Like, you don't even realize that that's an actual collab event that they're announcing, and not just some promotional thing. So, and to be fair, the collab event was criticized on JP for that exact reason. But like, I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm surprised that they didn't like at least like make a little bit more fanfare. Even if Albert was just going to read off the script, I'm surprised that this is literally all he said. So, it is what it is. I think their advertising department would be better served by sending you $20 and a Super 8 camera to make the hype video. You don't even send me a Super 8 camera. I could just record it with this camera if I had to. Like chat, I can literally just do one of these, right? Like, I can literally just switch to like my actual like zoomed in camera, and this is as good of quality as the actual dev team has, the localization team has. So it's like, this would not be difficult for like me to, and honestly, half the reason this looks so weird is just because I have a green screen behind me. If I did this green screen list, it just doesn't look that bad. So, but please do an actual collab announcement. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I don't want to be like too critical of them, because, and I've said this before, that I actually do believe that the like NA team just, they don't really have any funding. Like, I assume the JP devs just tell Aniplex of America what they want, and Aniplex of America just snaps to, pays the people their salary, and that's it. And I don't know if they have like actually any funding outside of that to do anything extracurricular, which is sad, because they should, because by all accounts NA does make them a ton of money. So I think this is just overall the like problem. I think at this point with FGO is I really wonder like how much money is getting reinvested back into La Single, back into the localization staff and stuff like that. Hopefully there is some, but it doesn't seem to be the case because everything that we see is just really podunk and really bad. And I feel like at this point, chat, if you were to compare these streams to, Honkai Star Rail, to like Blue Archive, to Nikkei, to like any of the other like current prominent gacha games, I feel like the NA team streams would come up as historically just one of the worst. Maybe there is one out there that I don't know of that just does it way worse, but these feel really bad. Like, they've done good ones. They've done ones where, like, I actually feel like they're really well produced, but usually the ones that are really well produced, they're well produced because they're pre-recorded. They usually involve the JP studio inside of things. They usually have, like, the like MCs from the JP side or the voice actors from the JP side. They're actually doing all the presentation and all the discussion. When it's just Albert by himself, these are horrible. And it's nothing personal against Albert. I like Albert, but this is just like, this is kind of like emotion sapping. It's enthusiasm sapping to kind of see him get up there and just force himself to. You can tell he doesn't want to do it. And I like, again, it's Easter weekend at this point. I don't know when this was recorded, but it really almost makes you wonder if this was like just recorded off the cuff right before he went home. And it was just like the last thing he had to do that day. And he was super tired. And he goes like, dude, I'm about to be on holiday break. Right. But yeah, it's like, I don't think Albert himself is necessarily that charismatic, but we've seen this before. He's a lot better in a live presentation in front of an audience or with his like co-workers and stuff like that, people that he can play off of and feed off of. He sucks just recording for a camera, which is understandable. I feel like every like streamer when they first start out is that way. Every content creator when they first start out is that way. And then you just kind of learn to relax in front of the camera and be a little bit more yourself. Like, this is me sitting here bouncing in my chair with nothing more than a couple of computer screens in front of me, and all of you guys are on that end and I can't see you. But I'm still capable of reacting to the things that you say and giving you my earnest emotions and kind of like not just being a stick in the mud, right? So I get it. It's a learned thing, but I also, like, to me, he should have probably already learned it at this point. So it just really feels like this was either a lack of enthusiasm, which I don't think it necessarily is. More so, it just looked like he was really tired and didn't want to do it. He feeds off the energy of others. Yeah. Does Albert play the game? Supposedly he does. He has an account. I know that. I know people that have Albert added because they met Albert back in the day. I don't know at the end of the day how regularly he plays, though. No one can really say, like chat. The difference between two players that log in daily, one could be someone that literally just logs in and like gets their login reward. And then the flip side could be like someone like me that like rarely ever wastes AP, logs in like religiously, and basically is like pushing their account to the max constantly. So yeah, there's those are two completely different worlds of people, and yet both log into the game and you could argue play daily, right? So at that point, does he play? Yes. How much does he play? How casual or hardcore is he? I have no idea. I'm going to say he strikes me as someone that's fairly casual, just based off of his like statements on like, hey, here's how I go about using craft essences and stuff like that. But it's difficult to tell because he may just be stating things in such a way as to like make it seem that way, just because he knows he's live and he has to present it to all types of people. But I don't know, right? It's an interesting question. He failed the Ellie quest on the dragon, then recorded this. That is what it looks like, right? He does play, but more regularly on JP. Yeah, and I'm going to say this, that's a problem. Like, I'm dead serious, right? Like, It's a problem if your NA staff is not playing NA. You, like, again, how are you supposed to expect other people to get excited for this stuff, to play this stuff, if you yourself are not excited or are not playing it, right? I feel like as the game's localization director, if you will, the head of NA, he's kind of responsible for setting the right tone. He is the leader that everyone will look to. His own staff will look to him, and obviously, if he's going to be the one doing all the presenting, all the players are going to look to him as well. Guess he got a mineral. Yeah, it's like I said, I don't know. This is how you look when you do horrendous in the gacha and then have to record. This is how I look. Am I always this way? Because I feel like normally, even when I get to like stream, I'm pretty good. Like I don't get me wrong, gacha can salt me, but like, again, normally I don't take out gacha results on you guys. Normally I understand that the results are the way that they are because, like, Chad, I'm someone that's rolled so darn much in this game that, like, I've seen just about everything that can happen at this point. So usually it takes a lot to get me salty anyways. But even then, it normally doesn't get to me too bad because I kind of know the odds and I know, like, the lengths that it can go to. Still, like I said, I don't really have any issue with this being a shorter stream. I'm okay with light streams. This just was a bad presentation. So it's not the worst one they've ever done, but it's close. It's definitely up there in consideration for one of the worst. It's the face you make when you CQ dragged to 30 turns. Yeah, that can be a thing. That can definitely be a thing. But like I said, I didn't expect a lot out of this. I kind of knew this was just going to be more par for the course. And that's what we expect at this point, is that, like, if they're doing a light stream, I'm surprised we got the collab announcement. Like, seriously. Like, I expected he was just going to talk about the active campaigns, talk about Sea Monster Crisis, phone it in, have a day, right? Like, I did not expect him to even mention this, and I'm going to say he probably shouldn't have. It would have actually just been better not to mention it, given how he did mention it. Because, like I said, he just did not seem enthusiastic about it at all. He did phone it in, he really did. It's how you are after you fail the Invincible comp 100 turns into the LACQ. That sounds awful just because 100 turns. And, like, all the rest of the things didn't matter there. It's just failing anything after 100 turns, you would be that way. They started announcing events way in advance for some reason. Yeah, I mean, that's at least annoying for me as someone that likes to get the content out, but, like, I can't fault it too much. Like, in this case, I was super busy with the Lotto and all the other stuff, so it's like, I got the Sea Monster Crisis review out ahead of the event, but it's like, it's a day ahead. I normally am, like, a week ahead when I do this sort of thing. In fairness, I probably could have recorded it sooner, but, like, it just slipped my mind that this was happening. So it's like I said, I've still got another video to record with you guys here right now. But yeah, this is kind of just what I'm having to do, is I'm having to just pump out videos right now because we got both NA and JP firing off at the same time. Thankfully, like, as of next week already, this will calm down because NA is going to be in a 3-week long event, and JP, we'll have to see what JP has, but I expect that JP will have a little bit of time. Also, he did say this is planned for late April, so you're looking at basically the 20th or later for this event. I don't remember exactly how long Sea Monster Crisis is slated to go to. It starts on the 29th. It should last 3 weeks, but I don't remember the exact date that it's going to end on. But that sounds pretty accurate, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this start literally the day after Sea Monster Crisis ends. So it is what it is. We as super users will know, but the general NA base wouldn't. Yeah, and I've talked about that before, the concept of there being, like, more casual players. Like, and I think that's what's interesting about this. If you're a casual player, you probably don't watch any of these. And the reason why is you would have to actually, like, follow them on Twitter. That's the only way you're going to know about this. Like, maybe, I guess if you were subscribed to the YouTube channel, but you would have had to have found the YouTube channel in the first place. So it's like, I don't even really see casual people watching this. It's probably why their numbers are so bad. And I think a lot of that just goes back to like they don't do a good job of promoting or advertising the game on NA at all. Like they basically do the bare minimum of what they need to do. Because I think they could be a lot more prolific with their outreach. I think they could be a lot more like I said, honestly, it like this is something that at least like is somewhat chafing for me, that you get like, hey, this is Chaldea Broadcasting Station Volume 6, and the very first thing he does is promote Ina. I have nothing against Ina. It's just like, it's like pulling teeth to get anything out of these guys, and the very first thing he does is promote another content creator. And you're like, bro, can you just like actually start promoting content creators? It's not in his hands, though, as far as I know. This is like an Aniplex, like, higher-up decision, as they just refuse to condone content creation, which is why it's hypocritical of them. But at the end of the day, it's just the decision that they've made as a company. But it's like, God, yeah, you just sit there and you're just like, man, that must be nice. Imagine, like, oh, the dev gets up and does a live stream for everybody and says, hey, go watch this person. You can't ask for a better endorsement. You really can't. So, like, I have seen other game studios do these sorts of things. Like I've seen like the Warhammer ones. I've seen the Conan Exiles ones do it. And so I'm sure there's various others that actually do like and promote their content creators. And honestly, at this point, I feel like it would go so much further for the NA team if they actually did, because I think it would create this sense of camaraderie amongst the content creators. It would make them feel like they're involved and that they're welcome, rather than having an antagonistic relationship towards Aniplex because Aniplex is sitting there constantly trying to copy strike them. So I feel like if they actually did that, it would totally turn at least the community perception around as to how Aniplex is handling the game, let alone how FGO itself is operating. VTuber win, it's still in the works. I have not announced an official date yet, though, but I will have news for that for you guys soon. Ina does a much better job at promoting the game, to be honest. Yeah, you're not wrong. I like, chat. How many of you guys would have rather watched this, and how many of you guys would have rather watched Ina? Like, Ina's stream would have been longer. She would have taken longer to get to the point, but it just also would have been more entertaining. So it's like, I don't know. If you're someone that values brevity, you probably prefer Albert. But if you're someone that just like actually wants the information to be presented in a good way, you would have valued Ina. Watch my Oishi. Yeah. Like, again, like I said, I have nothing against Ina. This isn't a criticism against Ina. It's more of a criticism of like how they themselves act and who they choose to promote. Like, they would 10 times rather go and pay the HoloLivers than have to do any of this stuff themselves. And it's why I find it really funny, because it seems like they at least have the money to get the HoloLivers to do the streams. So I'm really surprised that at that point they don't just have them do it all. Just outsource it. It'd be way better for you. Like, can you imagine if the HoloLive crew went around promoting FGO constantly, and how much more of a positive outlook and impact that would have for the game if this was a much more constant thing and you didn't have these streams from like Albert, right? Or if you had a stream from Albert, it was only a super official one with like JP voice actors or something like that. Instead, people would be like, oh my God, Albert's such a badass, and people would look forward to him appearing, rather than getting to watch dour, like sullen, super tired Albert. It's probably because it's a JP company to JP, honestly. Yeah, 100%. Like again, I understand why they want to work with HoloLive. It's really good for them in that regard. And at least with that, it is a corporate company where if something goes wrong, let's say Ina decides to become unhinged, flash her tatas, and start spewing obscenities and denigrating anyone playing the game. Let's say that happens. They can go to HoloLive and say, what the hell? I am not paying for that, and you better make this right. If it's me and I do that, they have no recourse for me. I'm not under some corporate umbrella. There is nobody that can force my hand to do anything. So at the end of the day, that is why they choose to work with the corporate VTubers, because they understand at least there is a level of, oh crap, I have to play by the rules. Whereas it's a lot more of a risk going with a normal content creator. But again, there's still ways you can do that, and other companies do work with content creators without managing to embarrass themselves. So I'm going to say a lot of it is just on them to actually try. Albert would look like Mr. 2 if that were the case. Yeah, everybody loves Mr. 2. Chat, why does everybody like Mr. 2? He's always happy, he's always announcing good news, and he's always giving out quartz. Everybody loves Mr. 2. Everybody loves him. Albert doesn't do that. Albert wishes he were Mr. 2. Mr. 2 also got an animated form now? Yes, he did. He saves us from everybody else stalling in the streams, true. I don't know, Mr. 2 once said no more CQs in the Lotto that one time. That's true, he did. And like I said, Mr. 2 is not perfect, but at least like I have a lot more respect for him, and I believe that, you know, from hearing his own comments on the game, I at least feel like Mr. 2 cares about the game and his head is in the right place. Whether or not he makes the right decisions is another thing entirely, but I'm going to say Tucson has earned that over time, right? Khadroth should have been me and not just some 1 million subtuber. Nah, it like the point that I'm making is that it would be much better if it weren't just 2 1 million subtubers, and instead we're like more people, right? I'd watch Crony. I'd watch Crony too, because I think it'd be entertaining, but I have to admit that Crony has at least rubbed me as a player of the game wrong. I like her, I understand, but like what I see from Crony is the typical like, oh, woe is me, FGO hurt me, and I basically have never given it a chance ever since. And even coming back, she's open to it, but I feel like she's open to it only because she's getting paid to be on that presentation stream with Ina, and because Ina was putting pressure on her. I feel like 100% her attitude shifted purely for the stream, and that behind the scenes, she doesn't give a rat's ass. Albert being more like, more dead like this live stream, it does nothing and actively discourages new people from playing the game. It's a bad representation of the game. Yeah, I agree. I feel like if you're a new player and you watch this and you assume that this is how this stream is normally, you're probably like, what the fuck? So yeah, I don't think it's a good presentation. Crony spoiled Colleen of Dark. Yeah, that's funny. I love that. Like, again, like I said, I don't hate Crony in the slightest. I just feel like she harps on her negative experiences with the game too much. And certainly if you're someone that's promoting the game, that's not what you want to do. You don't want to have somebody out there that's going to sit there and trash talk your game. So very, very hype stream. Mm-hmm. Yeah, isn't chat, aren't you super excited for the upcoming collab? Aren't you super excited? Like I said, it is what it is though. But that was to be expected. Okay, let me get you guys some music back. Turn Aurelia back on. Whoosh. Only because we already know what it is. Yeah, I mean, in that regard, like, it's kind of funny that the people that watch the stream most likely already know what's coming. And we're watching it to see if there is something stupid or fucked up, or if we're gonna get something for free. It's not even about like what the actual news is, because we have a tendency to know. And like I said, like as a news stream, that was a colossal failure from the simple standpoint of they announced campaigns that had like 3 days left in them. And you're like, bro, can you at least like talk about these things ahead of time? And oh, does it not sync up? Maybe you should consider a better timing then for the actual live stream. And I feel like that's something that they don't really do. I don't really feel like they have too much of a plan when it comes to promoting the game. Doesn't seem like a new player would even get to this content. Yeah, I don't think they would. I bet he's so tired because he got the LB7 script to translate. Did they say, chat, that they already had Trom done? I feel like they said that in the initial one, but I may be wrong. In the initial Road to 7 stream. Like Road to 7 Part 0. Okay. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember really either. So that was the Trung Sisters that we recorded, chat. Now we get Tai Sui. I'm not going to talk about Tai Sui too much, at least not in a story capacity, because there are some spoilers here. Like I said, he is a welfare that you guys aren't going to get until the end of the event, but should be that a lot of this should still work. So let me double check something here real quick, and then we'll be good to go on this one. By the way, Avalon, you started doing this to me and I'm just not sure. What's the bracketed number? Because it feels like that's the base and then that's the, like, the niche. Is when a debuff didn't land. Okay. Since I'm sub to that VTuber? Oh, I mean, like, chat, I'm gonna say this, okay? When it comes to FGO content, I don't really think you can necessarily fault people, especially for not rolling, right? Because there's money involved there. But just in general, in FGO content, I think this is something, and I've talked about it numerous times before, that it's like, it's kind of rough in the community as a content creator myself, as a streamer myself, to cover FGO, to see people come in, to see people excited, and then if FGO just mainly doesn't have something happening, people don't come to stream. People don't stick around if you change what you're doing, because it just immediately shows that, like, people don't really care about you and all they really care about is, like, the game. And don't get me wrong, I get that, but it's like, I at least value you guys being here. I love talking with you guys about these things, and I know that your passion is FGO just as mine is. But it's like, man, it's like, sometimes there's not anything to do, and I would like to do other things. So it's like, my hope would be that you guys might have the same interests as me, or you might, like, at least stay and support me. So it's like, it always hurts to see people say, like, oh, well, just because this streamer person didn't do the thing I wanted them to do, screw them, right? Like, so just be kind. Streamers are people too. Like, I feel the need to say that every once in a while so that everybody understands. That a note for the bracket? Oh no, it's fine. I just, like, you'd done that to me on the prior one yesterday, and I was like, oh, I'm actually not sure what this number means. So I just ignored it, talking about it, because I didn't want to stick my foot in my mouth. Okay, so based off Tai Sui's refund, then yeah, we're actually pretty good still with the same recommendations. I hate this. I hate, like, oh, my CE recommendations are the same across them, but it's because the two units have similar, like, refund capacities and stuff, so it's really funny. And again, like, there's always going to be like some token CEs that I can recommend to people. And while I could recommend way more than this, it's like, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse at that point where it's like, I've already recommended everything that like kind of really matters. And usually people might go like, oh man, I don't have Ocean Flyer, but maybe I have another CE like Ocean Flyer, right? So it's at least a good idea to give you an idea of like, here's the considerations and when you would want to use them. A lot of looping servants can basically use the same Cs. Exactly. And there are Cs that are just better than others, and that's why we recommend them so much. Okay, let me real quick. Yeah, his is actually a good third append. I do remember that. I don't want to tell anyone wrong on this, so let me look at Atlas real fast. Because they did not do a good job of indicating this one. Fandom just kind of lumped everything together here. Okay, so it's that, and that are all the skill. Well, sorry, technically that line. So this is all the proc on the thing, and then this is the next line on the NP. I had to double check because it's been a hot second since I looked at Taisui's NP. Yep, and then super effective man. Okay. All right, let's talk Taisui. Chat, I ain't attempting this. I ain't attempting this. I will butcher this. So it's like he's just getting called Taisui. Ain't even possibly gonna happen. There's no way I will pronounce that correct. Xingyun? Yeah, maybe that's how, right? Like, I don't know. Is this guy a great value domain? Yes, to a degree. So we're going to talk about that. Hey guys, my name's Khadroth, and today we're going to be talking to you about Taisui. Now, Taisui is our welfare from the Sea Monster Crisis event. And unfortunately, you're not really going to be getting him until after you've completed the main story, so don't expect to get him really until like the first week has already happened. He is going to be a bonus unit in the event, so you will want to keep him in your party as much as possible, but I think you're going to see that he actually is a pretty decent bang for your buck type of welfare. Taisui has proven super useful over the years since he's come out, including just being able to kind of sit there and plow right through certain events that are just very cavalry heavy, because he is an arts looping AoE alter ego. So just having one of these for free is naturally going to be really useful to a lot of people. And even if you are a more free-to-play or newer player, you should still have plenty of low-star options that can actually support him pretty decently since he's arts. So again, I highly recommend getting Taisui. Don't skip the event and make sure you grab all the copies of him. That way you'll have a pretty robust one should you need it. But again, let's go through his kit, and I'm going to talk to you about why he can be pretty good. So like I said, he is a welfare from the Sea Monster Crisis event, and he does have 9.2k attack to begin with. So this is definitely in that sort of sweet spot for our 4 stars that we like to see. He is a welfare, so you're going to get all 5 copies of him, so his damage is going to be pretty decent in that regard. Now, he is going to have 12k HP. This is not the best out there, but I think you'll see, again, having arts as his main card type is going to mean that you're going to have a lot of good supports around him for helping keep him alive, so I'm not super concerned about his overall HP values. He is Earth attributed, does have a slightly less than average for an alter ego star absorption there, and a slightly less than average star generation, but again, we expect this pretty much at this point since he is an arts unit. He does have 0.47 NP charge attack, so just like with the Trung Sisters, they kept his a little bit on the lower side. But again, remember, it's the entire summation of the kit that's really going to factor into those refund numbers. He does have 4% NP charge defense, which is the amount he's going to get from every hit of every attack when he's hit. So this is going to be at least slightly higher than average. And he does have a higher than average death rate, which is not a good thing. So just be careful whenever you're using him, particularly against maybe some annoying death-prone assassin enemies. And as you can see here, he is neutral and balanced. This is alignments, which are not very easy to exploit for enemies. So this is going to be a good thing for him. You shouldn't have to worry about niche damage against him too much in that regard. He does have a male gender, which is another thing that's kind of funny, is a lot of people get confused based off of his portrayal, but don't worry, it'll all make sense if you actually read through the event. He is considered to be a child servant. He is demonic, divine, humanoid, immune to pigify, non-hominidae, servant, and weak to anima elish. So already you've got some pretty interesting traits here going on. His deck here is going to end up being double quick, double arts with a singular buster card, and his hit counts are all average or above, with the exception being the extra attack here at only 4 hits, being 1 below average. Still though, having 4 cards really with the quick and the arts that can do a decent job of refunding, I think you're going to see is going to be really a nice thing for him. This is going to allow him to form triple arts chains at least decently well. And again, the quick cards can be used, in the back end of an NP to help him get back. So certainly a nice thing to have 4 different cards that really are going to help with that. Talking about his skills now, he does have basically a party-wide arts performance increase of 20%. It's not going to be the most robust steroid, but again, it's party-wide and it's 3-turn duration, so this is not just good for Taiu, it's also going to help his supporting cast that may be around him trying to get to their NPs, so definitely a nice thing for him to have this. He's also got the party NP generation rate getting boosted by an additional 20%, so he's obviously going to benefit from this as well, and so will the rest of the party. And then from there, he's going to gain crit stars every single turn for 3 turns, up to 10 if you manage to lure the skill, all on a 6-turn cooldown. So really a just overall nice, very synergistic steroid that does a lot for him here. His second skill here grants one ally gut status for 1 time 3 turns, and then will also grant them debuff immunity for 1 time 3 turns. So that right there is going to make this really nice, as it is a targetable guts and debuff immunity that you can place on someone. It can obviously go on Taiu, but can also go on maybe like a Castoria or something like that if you're worried about losing them because they're vulnerable in a certain turn. So really a nice thing to have. And he does also increase buff removal resistance for the target for 1 time 3 turns up to 100%. So he can make it so that their buffs cannot be stripped of them. Even if you had something like defense buff removal that the enemy was trying to use on you, it would not work if you managed to have this skill lured. So that would be very, very nice. Again, this can obviously be used on Taiu to help keep him alive, or you might use it on somebody that you know is going to get targeted. So it is at least a somewhat nice but situational addition to this skill. Again, all on a 6-turn cooldown. His third skill here is going to seal all enemy skills for 1 turn. Just as always, understand that 1, this is not guaranteeable, as even though it doesn't state percentages here, it can be resisted. And 2, keep in mind that if you skill seal an enemy and it doesn't have its NP, it has no other recourse other than to attack you. So just keep that in mind if you've got people that are low on health, that doing this will pretty much all but secure that they get attacked and probably die in that circumstance. So just be careful with the timing of this skill. This will also increase Taiu's own NP damage for 3 turns by an additional 30%, so not too bad. And this is definitely going to be the skill that you're going to want to lure at minimum, because it's also going to be his 30% charge skill. Now remember, we're in an era as well on JP where you're going to start getting coins for welfares, so you know you will have the servant coins for Taiu, which means you will be able to max out the mana loading in combination with his 30% charge skill. That's going to allow you to basically just go ahead and pop this turn 1 and start him out with either a really nice 50% C, or just make it nice and easy for some other support to come in and pick up the slack and get him to full charge for that first turn. So really, it is a nice combo to have with him. Again, all of this is on a 6-turn cooldown as well, so you can see his overall cooldowns are not bad. For his passive skills, he's just got magic resistance, item construction, and divinity. Again, the debuff resistance is going to be pretty nice here. The debuff success rate is a little bit okay, but not too big of a deal. And the divinity here is going to just add some extra flat damage. Talking about his appends, though, his third append is going to be one that you're going to want to pay attention to. The good news with Taiu is, like I said, you'll get the coins, so I highly recommend investing in all of Taiu's appends. And the reason why is because, again, he's an alter ego, so he's already 1.5 times effective against an assassin class. So then if we combine that with an additional 30% extra attack up against assassins, he's going to be not quite fully effective, but definitely a lot closer than most other units would be. So certainly this is one to consider, and he does also have overlap with the niche on his NP. So I do think this is actually a very good third append and one of the best ones in the game to unlock. Now, from there though, I still recommend the mana loading for exactly the reason that I stated before. It's very synergistic with his charge skills and obviously just going to help him out starting out from 0 and being able to loot. Obviously, the extra attack finesse can be good, especially in a challenge environment, but it may, ironically enough, be the odd man out for this one. So if you're worried about having enough coins, maybe because you're considering grailing him beyond 100 or something, again, this might be the one to kind of sit on for a little bit, but ultimately, at the end of the day, this is still going to be a useful append, as it always is, and still something to consider. Now, talking about his Noble Phantasm, he has an arts-based AoE Noble Phantasm that is 3 hits. Again, not super high on the hit counts, and we already know he's got that low NP charge attack rate. But again, remember, he does have arts up, he does have NP gain in his kit, so he does get a little bit of extra help in terms of refunding. So his NP is actually rather interesting. As you can see, it starts out by putting a debuff on the enemies for 3 turns that activates before damage. What this debuff does is whenever the target is defeated, it will then further reduce the party's defense by 20% for 3 turns, inflict curse to the enemy party for 3 turns, and inflict evil curse status to the enemy party, which will boost the curse damage by an additional 100% to that enemy team. So if he kills everything in 1 turn, you don't really care about this, but if you're in a challenge environment or maybe something manages to live, it will be weakened and cursed after the fact, making it a lot easier to sort of mop up. So definitely an interesting thing, as this is going to basically have the benefit of proccing on everyone. From here, he will also just straight up inflict the enemy with 2,000 curse damage, activating first to them. So that is something to consider, is that you will pretty much always have curse as long as the enemy is not immune or resists it. And then he will deal damage to all enemies. From here, his overcharge effect actually deals super effective damage to anybody that has the man attribute. So again, like we talked about with that third append, it's anti-assassin, there are going to be plenty of man attribute assassins out there, so definitely there's some really nice synergy. And this is why, again, as a 4-star, he's just got a very coherent, good kit. He's not going to be the best unit out there or anything like that, but he's absolutely serviceable and absolutely usable, so he's definitely going to be something you're going to want to acquire, since he is going to be the only arts looping alter ego you're going to get for a while as a welfare. So certainly I recommend getting all the copies of him. But let's go ahead and talk about those refund numbers for you. Now, as we mentioned before, Taisui's not got a high NP charge attack rate. That being said, he actually has better refund than the Trung Sisters that we just went over. So at even only 1 hit of overkill against 3 enemies, this would basically be, only killing 1 of the 3. So the majority of the time you can assume that you will get at least one overkill hit against each enemy you fight. And the reason for that is just going to be because, again, you kind of need to kill the enemies to move from wave to wave or to progress deeper into a challenge. So it is what it is. So assuming you get even the one hit of overkill off of one of 3 enemies, you would still be at 58.63% with a double Castorius setup. And that's neutral too. So we're not even considering alter ego effectiveness in there for maybe additional overkill hits. If you did manage to get all enemies overkill, sorry, that was 3. Thank you. Yes, we did have an on a fly correction right there. That was 3 hits of overkill, not 1. So basically, again, 1 hit of overkill for each enemy you're facing. But if you did manage to get all your hits of overkill against Taiu, against the enemies that you're facing, Taiu would manage to get 75%, basically 75.38% refund with double Castorius. So again, you've got a little bit of leeway, but it's actually not that much, somewhere between 58 to 75% as long as you're killing the enemies. But that's just double Castoria. You could maybe put in a third support that's like a Nero Bride or a Tamamo and get even higher numbers. But this is sort of to give you an idea of what to expect. And again, these refund numbers are fairly good. This should be easily loopable even starting from 0 with numbers like this. It's not going to be necessarily a full refund, but it just at least will allow you to still work your way through as long as you have sufficient supports for charge. Now, if you're up against 3 Berserkers, this gets a little bit dicier, as only the 3 out of 9 hits of overkill will only get you to basically 46.9% refund. So you're not quite at that 50% breakpoint that you would hope. Really, you would want 49% because you would know it would round up. So you're about 3%, maybe 2% shy there. So definitely something that you would want to make sure you got even one more hit of overkill. So at even 4 out of 9 hits of overkill, which is certainly doable, you would basically at that point be at the 49% even against Berserkers. So Berserkers would obviously be a warning for you to say, hey, I need to pay attention to the refund a little bit more, but it wouldn't be too bad. And if you find yourself just annoyingly so close to getting another hit of overkill, remember you can potentially pre-card the NP to reduce an enemy's health value to try and secure more overkill hits. Just keep in mind that you don't want to kill the enemy, so don't accidentally crit it and kill it, because then, well, that's just making it so you're not even hitting as many enemies, and therefore you're not going to get nearly as much refund. So, but pre-carding has always been a trick that you can try to do in order to make it work. Now, again, you're probably going to want something like, say, Ocean Flyer then against Berserker enemies. But for pretty much everybody else, starting from 0 is absolutely possible. So Black Grail is going to obviously be the recommendation. Remember, you don't have to use Black Grail if you don't have it. You could try to use something like Angel's Song, Heaven's Feel, Dragonkind. Any of those will actually work as a decent substitute. Obviously, for Old Welfare Seas, Royal Icing still going to be a recommendation. It's starting from 0, but it gives arts up and NP damage. And again, he doesn't really have any Invuln Pierce or anything in his kit, so Honey Lake, obviously, this goes without saying, is really good. And if you need Invuln Pierce, but you want a much more recent CE, the recent Valentine's event had one, so this would obviously be one if you manage to roll it. It's also got NP damage and NP generation rate on it. It's all attack scaling, which is exactly what we want on our CEs if we're looking for targets to level. But again, up to you, and you don't have to use any of these recommendations, especially if you don't have them. I want you guys to understand that this is just to give you an idea of when and where to use the CEs, and that if you don't have any of these, you probably have some sort of analog in your Chaldea that you can rely on. So try to find something similar to any of these if you're looking and don't have one of them, and you'll find that he'll probably work with other similar type CEs. Now, talking about Taisui's actual damage numbers here, you can see here this is going to be the self-buffs only that he's going to have. This is basically him under his own power without any sort of external support, and it's neutral numbers. So the numbers here don't look great, but this is kind of a welcome to alter ego type situation. And again, he doesn't have a whole lot in terms of steroids in his kit. So obviously increasing his damage, not going to be that doable, but we can pretty much just sit here and look at the NP5 numbers as this is what we can expect. So against just a neutral enemy here, you're looking at 27k, almost 28k. And against a man-traded or man-attributed enemy, you're looking at almost 46k. So quite a bit more damage there out of that. Obviously, Taiu is going to be really good to use against enemies that are man-attribute. Now, this is one of the charge scenarios that we can come up with here. This is going to be basically Taiu with 2 Castorias and an Oberon against neutral enemies. To make the charge work out for him, you're going to want to just go ahead and pop his 30% charge there in wave 1. Basically do both Castorias, but only the 20% charge skill from the second Castoria there. That's 100%. He'll basically fire off his NP, loop back to 58% there. Basically, the other missing 30% from the remaining Castoria, 20% from Oberon. He's over 100% here. Fire off the NP again. And then for wave 3, take Oberon's last remaining charge skill with the 58% refund he got again. And boom, fire off the NP one more time. So it's really easy to see how you guys can get that to work. And obviously, it doesn't have to flow exactly like this either, depending on what starting C you're running with. So keeping that in mind, you do have another potential option right here for charge, and this would be 2 times Castoria with a 2004 Mystic Code instead, so not a third support, not a plug suit. So if you wanted to do something like that, you'd basically need his append, you'd go ahead and pop his charge skill, basically use a 50% CE on him, and he'd still be able to kind of work. This would be 100% charge, you'd go ahead and do that, and essentially at that point you'd go ahead and fire one of the Castoria's 50%, he'd have refunded 55, that'd be enough, and he'd just go ahead and go. And again, at some point you'd want to mix in the Mystic Code just to kind of make it work, just to kind of make it happen in a turn where maybe you didn't have enough. But again, fairly straightforward if you wanted to approach things that way. Now, talking about that original plug suit scenario, here would be what the damage would look like if you had sort of idyllic settings with Castoria, Oberon, level 100 Black Grail, and Neo plug suit. Again, you're guaranteed NP5 as long as you guys complete the event. So just looking at that right there, you can see damage numbers pretty respectable. And again, remember, these are neutral numbers, so not necessarily even gonna be a sort of scenario that you would normally realize, as you're probably going to be wanting to use your alter ego when they're actually even semi-effective. From here, you can also see the numbers will bloat quite a bit more if you're up against man, and certainly if you have the third append, that can also factor in, and then the third append plus man, and it starts getting a lot better. So Taisui's got some actually pretty respectable numbers. This is scenario 2, though, that we also have with the 2004 Mystic Code. Damage is going to be a lot less here because we're not using that Oberon support. Instead, we're also only using Ocean Flyer instead of a Black Grail, so damage number is just going to naturally come down quite a bit. But you can still see these are still neutral, so pretty much you could double them up if he's fully effective, or at least add 50% to them if they're 1.5 times effective against the cavalry classes. So definitely something that I think you'll see. The damage numbers are still absolutely something that you can work with in most scenarios. Maybe not for 90++ content, but certainly for 90+. And again, as you get to 90++ content, you're going to start wanting to consider things like Oberon, or maybe just not even 3-turning, say the least. So it's up to you to determine how you want to handle that, but he's absolutely still usable in ++ content. Now, comparing some of these numbers to his competition is where this is going to get interesting. So we're going to go ahead and take the Kiara Arts Resist down, basically, which can fail or succeed. And so that's what the bracketed number versus the unbracketed number is going to be. But basically, we've got 2 times Castoria, Oberon, a level 100 Black Grail, and Neo plug suit here. And you can see right there, just comparing that to the original one, Taisui with no niches in play was at 323, which basically Kiara coming out at NP1 at 327. So that is a thing. You may have a weird ruler niche in play with Kiara, but that is what that is. And again, I'm just going to say this is also just assuming neutral numbers. So Taisui could absolutely outscale Kiara at NP1, but the second we start talking even NP2, Kiara's damage numbers just start getting a whole heck of a lot better, as you would start needing basically the actual niches in order to pull ahead. Now, Next up here, we have Okitan, and this does not include Okitan's third append, which is anti-caster, because that would be an interesting thing, but that would also be like comparing it, I guess, to, at that point, Tai Sui's third append, where his is anti-assassin. So you can see this at least is Double K and Skya Oberon with a level 100 cranking. You guys are actually about to get cranking on an A here from the Bunyan event that'll be coming up right after Sea Monster Crisis. So that's going to be a really nice welfare sea you're not going to want to miss out on. But again, this is not a Black Grail comp either, and you can still see the damage numbers are quite good, but a lot of that's going to be sort of heavy lifting by Oberon in the long run. Now, keep in mind, Okitan can double up skills and stuff with Kai and Skya, but really, you're going to be trying to look in the same way as you're going to be looking for Man for Tai Sui, you're going to be looking for Sky for Okitan. And the second you start getting that, the damage numbers start getting a whole heck of a lot better. So that is something to be considered as, again, I think Tai Sui being a welfare is going to sort of raise the bar, sort of the minimum standard, if you will, for a lot of these other units. Now, I can compare these to a whole bunch of other ones. The big one I'm just going to go ahead and mention here is going to be Habitrot. Habitrot is a welfare unit as well, so everybody should have access to her as long as they've done LB6. But this should give you an idea of at least Habitrot, who is a rider, up against someone like Tai Sui there. Habitrot will have the 2 times effectiveness to Tai Sui's only, 1.5. But still, it's an interesting thing, and you can see the damage numbers here in comparison. Tai Sui's 323 there on wave 3 versus Habitrot's 321. So still pretty comparable in that regard. So Tai Sui does manage to hold his own. So again, let me know what you guys think about Tai Sui. I can't really ask you about your favorite ascension for him because he's a welfare. He only has the one. But do you guys actually like his kit? And do you see yourself using him, or are you going to still keep using other existing alter egos that you already have? I'll be curious to hear you guys' thoughts, and I will see you guys for the next one. Dedge, chat. Dedge. For Kiara, it was her single target versus her AoE damage as her art's down is only single target. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I assume you calculated it with it in there, so it's okay. Banned and reported. Are you arguing about the Fate series? Oh no, it's all good. As long as you guys aren't like hurling like nasty words that are gonna end up in the recording, I'm probably fine with whatever the hell you're talking about. Big number is single target and the other is AoE. Yeah, it's the splash damage concept that we talked about as well with units like Summer Abbey, right? Like it's very difficult to model these things unless you're showing all 3 enemies that are getting hit, and that can cause some really weird considerations to be played. So I don't really know how to say it other than that. I included it to not mislead, yeah. What Lancer dies the most in most adaptations? Ku. I feel like it's always Ku. Lancer Gashinda. But no, yeah, like... I have to apologize for not getting these videos recorded ahead of time now, because I know at least, like, with the Trung Sisters, people got a roll, right? But with Tai Sui, no one's got a roll Tai Sui. Y'all are going to get him a week later, so this is still perfectly in time for him. So my big push tomorrow will be, I must get the Trung Sisters video out. But I will probably try to get both out, or maybe I'll delay Tai Sui's till Monday. We'll see. But it be what it be. Love the Pokemon vibes. Yeah, I mean, the art style for them is actually really cool. I'm not sure it fits FGO too well, but it's not bad. Like, I don't look at it and go like, oh my god, this art is ugly. It's just very stylistic and cartoonish. And I think that's perfectly A-okay. Okay. I just was checking Twitter real quick to see the reactions to the the grailing post that I made. It's funny. I'll include the notes to servants whenever I use the brackets. Yeah, that's fine. It was the first time you had done it, so I wasn't quite sure what you were on about there. But as long as I know, I can talk about it. Is Lancelot enough as a single target art saber? He's gotten a lot of love. He was always a good unit. The only thing he really lacked was like single target damage on his NP. But he's gotten an MP interlude, and he's just really disgustingly good still. So like, if he's the only one that you have, I mean, you might want to consider picking up someone else. But like, no, he's still perfectly serviceable and fine. You're just gonna have a hard time if like you really require a like damage check, but it's still not too bad. And like, I once heard Lancelot described as FGO's first 6-star, and that's not true at all. But I do believe there is some truth to the statement, and the reason why is because Lancelot is like one of the first units in the game that just has a super synergistic like crit oriented kit. So even if you don't kill something with Lancelot's NP, odds are he's gonna crit it to death because he's just like a buzzsaw that just keeps going. And it kind of makes sense the more you try to use him, the more you just realize how fluid he can be. And you're just like, oh sweet, Lancelot got card, boom, I'm back to the NP. Fairy Knight Lancelot's a different story. Not Saber Shiro? What do you mean? Amakusa is a Shiro face, chat. Did you guys not learn that? Lancelot, Tamamo, and Waver was my go-to comp in the early years of FGO. Yeah, I mean, like, Tamamo and Waver was like the challenge comp for a long time, okay? And then like, so hear me out on this, chat. Y'all are gonna throw up in your mouth, but like, hear me out on this, okay? So like, this man, because then you had a damage dealing unit that was effective against everything. And he also had Drain, just like Waver and Tamamo. And he actually can be a decent looper. He's got a lot of upgrades over time. So like his actual MP damage wasn't the best, but the comp, like, you could just sit there and infinitely stall people out. And the only consideration was keeping Vlad protected. As long as you could keep Vlad with defenses up on him, odds are you could just sit there and just loop it into infinity and laugh. And it was great. And still to this day, stall comps absolutely do work. The problem is most people don't have the pieces to build them easily, or at least they don't think about it. Or that even if people do, and it does apply in the situation, people would rather kill something quicker than take a safer, slower route, right? Like, people go like, oh man, I'm going to 15 turn this with Castoria rather than take 30 turns with somebody else. And it's understandable why people would be that way. Bangla Power, I think that's Ultra Rad. And Martel, thank you guys for the follows and the resub. Day one player, no Vlad the third on my Chaldea. Listen, I think one of my mods would really like to talk with you, and he would like to make a trade deal. One of my mods has, I think, NP14 Vlad. He just keeps spooking him. Not Hera. Yeah, Hera. Hera loves him. No. How far away do you think 6.5 is? I suspect, Andrew, that 6.5 is probably in like May. I think like we pretty much know at this point that where is it? We pretty much know at this point that that's late April is when we're going to be getting the collab event, right? So like this is not quite on the money, but this is pretty darn close, right? So like maybe imagine like a week earlier than this, so like maybe like May 12th or something like that might be the actual end of the Bunyan event. And the thing about this is like we pretty quickly go like right into it, right? So it's like here was Trom at the end of May. I'm going to expect Trom for NA will actually be at least like a week earlier than this, but I'm not too worried about it. Oh, sorry. That's still pre-release campaign part 2. Hold on. There it is. June 1st was it? Yeah, I still expect it's going to be late May then. Still, there like the problem with this one is that like we have a lot of like weird stuff going on this year, but remember, chat, we're probably going to have, and let me double check here. Okay, so here's your here's your Anime Expo dates. Okay, so basically Thursday, July 4th through July 7th. That is where NA's anniversary will be celebrated. I can't tell you specifically which of these days it will be on, but usually it is on the Saturday or the Sunday. So if July 4th is Thursday, that means you're looking at the 6th or the 7th, okay? At that point, I'm going to tell you basically if it's July 6th or 7th that this is a problem, but it's not a huge problem. They just either need to like move it forward because I assume Bakin has to be on it. But the reality is that they can just kind of like take the Moonsault operation and shove it back. There's no reason that the Moonsault operation has to happen before the anniversary for NA, because the only unit on the banner is an already existing unit. So like they're probably just going to go ahead, pull this down and push this back, which means they don't actually have to do too much in the way of like manipulating the schedule. That's why I think you're only seeing like a week shift here. We know Hakinden is early June. Yeah, exactly. So it's like we know Hakinden moved forward to take that slot, so it's pretty reasonable to assume. They already solved it, yeah. But that's my point. Is like, so I assume Trom is just going to be right smack in there towards like, again, the end of May, and it's you're going to get your 2 weeks and that'll be it. I think I'll be above pity by then. Yeah, you probably will. And again, chat, remember, you guys are going to still keep getting Road to 7 campaigns. I do find it really funny. You guys have Road to 7 2 right now. You're not getting Road to 7-3 until like June. We go like several months without it. Because when it first started coming out, everyone's like, oh my god, hey, at this pace, I bet we get LB7 like mid-year. And then we didn't get Road to 7 Part 3 until June, and everyone started going like, oh, I bet we're not getting it till the end of the year. And it was funny because I think around this time as well, Mr. 2 let the cat out of the bag and basically told everyone that LB7 wasn't until the end of the year. He didn't mean to say it, but he accidentally said it. Sakura-Con has had FGO stuff before. It usually does, but it's usually just a small panel. Like I don't know where Sakura-Con's hosted. I assume it's out in California, so it's probably why. It's just an easy like send someone from Aniplex over. But oh, Washington. Okay, interesting. James, thank you for the follow. How do you accidentally say something in pre-recorded stream? For JP, usually they're live. They're not pre-recorded. And welcome to the channel. Probably planned for LB7 earlier, but maybe some bottleneck happened. Oh, I mean, the latter part of that statement we can prove is true. We know they got bottlenecked in LB7 because they had to delay it. Whether or not it was planned to be before, I don't know that it was necessarily. I think Mr. 2 just purposely let the cat out of the bag. Like, Mr. 2 looked like he knew he messed up and was a little bit more than distressed. Yeah. but maybe, right? Like it would just depend. And they are traditionally there. Ah, interesting. So, yeah, like, I mean, maybe because they did well. Okay, hold on. Is SakuraCon this weekend? So it's Easter weekend. So I don't blame anyone from not going this weekend, and that's probably just unfortunate on SakuraCon's case. But that's probably, if they're not there, that's probably why. It is like Easter weekend is usually a like holiday for a lot of people, and I'm not saying this as a Catholic. I'm saying this like in general, like governmentally, usually people get Easter off. So I assume Aniplex has it off as well, and they're not going to make anyone go to a con for that. So again, that's probably why you got the live stream the way that you did, rather than necessarily at like a panel or something. I got today and tomorrow off. Lucky. I don't get any time off, chat. Not until not until like 3 weeks from now. I am just basically slave labor until my 3 weeks are up. My new job surprisingly gives Good Friday off. Nice. Still another 3 weeks? Yeah, it's not till April 15th. And then, like I said, I think it's actually April 16th. Because I think the 15th is Emancipation Day. Speaking of no meat tomorrow, yep. Yeah, I gotta get fish tomorrow. It's no red meat, not no meat, but any predictions on this year's April Fool's thing for Losengal? No, I have no idea. And that has been on my mind that like April Fool's is coming up, and I'm like, I don't know what they're gonna do. I'll be like NA's April Fool's is always kind of lackluster because we either know what it is or it's something kind of podunk that they slap together themselves. I'll be very curious to see JP's though. I wonder what the heck JP's gonna do, or if they'll even do anything. Because like, at least you could argue that if JP does very little, it's maybe not a good showing, and it might be a sign of like, uh-oh, right? Like if they couldn't actually muster enough to do much. But if the JP April Fool's is pretty robust, and you go like, oh, okay, that's really nice, that's really good, and it's a good sign. So, like I said, I've seen people like this was a topic of debate on Twitter the other day, that it's like some people are perfectly fine with the status of the game. I think people like myself, like, well, I love this game. I'm very critical of it at times, and I will say that like I do believe they're doing a good job so far this year, but it's not like I've forgotten the past 2 years of their body of work. So it's like I'm still sitting there looking at that, and it's like, yeah, you're doing good now. Let's see if it lasts, right? Like, so I hope they do. I hope they continue for it. I hope they continue keeping events rolling, keeping story coming out, because I think that is what the game needs in order to be able to like grow again. But we'll see, right? Like I guess it's like the skeptic in me that's like feeling like, yeah, watch now, like after Ordeal Call 2 as they like take a break or something. So we'll just have to see what they actually like do schedule wise moving forward. Parents on the choir, nice. Was baseball last year? Yeah, we had baseball, and then I think the year before was President Ellie. I wonder if that's what we'll get for NA, will be the President Ellie one, because that one's actually a pretty interesting one, so I hope they actually do it. And ironically enough, it works for NA because this is an election year on NA. Gad, what are 3 things you would say to FGO but you can't say to your significant other, girlfriend, wife? 3 things I would say to FGO that I can't say to my significant other, girlfriend, or wife. Oh god, that's difficult. If I had more rest, I could probably answer this off the top of my head. Like, it'd have to be like basically an insult to the significant other. So, I'd have, well, I mean, you could say this to a wife, but you just get slapped, right? So it'd be like, oh man, like, why are you costing me so much? Right? Like, or, maybe like the woman, the next woman coming up or something is hot, right? Like you'd have to be like sitting there like basically drooling over another woman, or talking about like how expensive the game is compared to your wife, or and both FGO and wife need daily logins. Yeah. I can't play with you tonight. If you're not gonna play the game. But yeah, like that's a difficult one. Please come home. Mm-hmm. Why are you so dead this week? Is that like your statement for what you can't say, or is that like you asking me a question? Because that could apply to me. You're gonna let me be blue balled till December? Yeah. Come on, do something. Yeah. Don't just lay there, do something. Honey, I bet our child's college fund. Fate Grail League even gave a lore to their Master of Chaldea. Yeah. They're gonna work 6-day weeks until the 15th. Bro, I feel that. That is basically me. Like right now, I'm only scheduled for one more work weekend before the end of tax season. My experience tells me that's a lie. And there will definitely be more. They will be unofficial, unscheduled work weekends. I'm gonna go buy you, don't entertain me more. No. The better way to say that would be you're not interesting me anymore. I'm getting another one. Right? Accountant senses tingling. Mm-hmm. No, I'm not saying that word. I'm not saying that word. You're gonna clip me. He knows? I obviously know. You always try to do this stuff. And not that I mind people clipping me. At this point, I've said so much like curse stuff on stream. Like, if anyone ever like if I ever get canceled, there's gonna be so much footage. And like it's not gonna be very bad, but it's like taken out of context, it's gonna sound horrific. But it's just, it is what it is. I could basically defend every statement I've made. Chat, I obviously I was hoping if we got it done that I would maybe do some stuff extra with you guys. I could do Ordeal Call with you, but it's only like 20 minutes left in stream, so chat, I'm gonna take the extra 20 minutes and I'm gonna run. Because I'm bushed. After doing 5 recordings across 2 days, I think we're good. So again, I'm sorry the stream was kind of disappointing. Not my stream, but like the live stream for Sea Monster Crisis. But like again, hopefully they just do better. Like that's all we can ask for is like just don't be sad boy Albert, and then instead give us something else. Let me see who that be on. I see Mr. Chaldea Guru's on. He is doing some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I believe he is in the middle of a subathon. So go give that man some love. And again, I will be back tomorrow. Trung Sister rolls. I had to think about like what tomorrow's going to be. Trung Sister rolls and Sea Monster Crisis, and then hopefully Ordeal Call 2 with any remaining time. And maybe even if we manage to get through all of that, finally some Dragon's Dogma. So, but again, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for watching me. Thank you for all the support. I always appreciate it. Go give Mr. Chaldea Gurus my love, and I will see you guys on the flip side.